cult in a dead MMO. Is it this one? This one's 34 minutes. Wait, this one's kind of like a fucking fat one. And it's already 1:30. We can let it ride. Fuck it. Thanks to the resub Mamalona. Maybe Soul Eater. And thanks to the Prime Lux.
Welcome to Worlds Online, the internet's first 3D virtual world platform.
Woohoo! 3D, that's crazy. We can fucking smell and go wild in here.
Virtual space. Online users can shop, watch movies, listen to music, play games, and collaborate with each other. Today's web user is looking
Tom
for
Brady?
an intimate connection with friends, with celebrities, and with trending brands that reflect their values and lifestyle in both the real world and the virtual. By investing in Worlds, you are investing in the future. Worlds.com.
All good, Raiders. Just ask him out.
Together.
Throughout the mid-2010s, an urban legend would surface about a mysterious MMO by the name of Worlds.com.
Thanks to the resub Chippewa and the Tier 1
Having
cuddles.
been launched to the public in the mid-1990s, the game was believed by many to be dead, discontinued, and lost to the inevitable void of internet history.
Where?
Unbeknownst to most,
How do
this
people even
couldn't be
find
further
that?
from the truth, as Worlds.com was very much still running. But there was a catch. Venturing into the game today presents you with
This looks cool.
of nothingness, a relic that
What
was
the
once
fuck?
bustling with life, and
You
an
get to play as a
eternity
duck or a
that's
penguin?
clinging to life supports. The game, expectedly, is completely empty.
Thanks for the 5 gift
Mostly.
subs, 28 down. Appreciate it.
You see, rumor had it that Worlds.com was hiding something, a shrouded purpose that's been kept from the public. Rumors involving in-game cults, boxing, graphic imagery, and virtual stalking have led curious minds to hesitantly venture into Worlds themselves in hopes of finding out if these allegations were true.
What the fuck? That's nuts.
So bad.
Alright.
This is the story of Worlds.com.
Alright, I'm super invested in this now. Is it a cool cult? Did they do cool things like give out candy on holidays and stuff? Or one of those bad ones like the Manson shit?
An aside. The 1990s were a magical time in the world of entertainment and the advancement of society. Being what I can only describe as the calm before the imminent mid-2000s technological storm, we were living in an era that brought us some unforgettable treasures in the realms of video gaming, movies,
Yeah,
and television.
blockbuster, classic, fuck
In the
yeah.
gaming world, for instance, new and unforgettable IPs such as Mario Kart,
Yeah, agreed, Soul Eater.
Banjo-Kazooie, Fallout, Resident Evil, and Silent Hill were born. And with these came game consoles that have stood the test of time in bringing us unforgettable experiences such as the Super Nintendo, PlayStation 1, and the Dreamcast.
God, the Dreamcast was so good, the most underrated console in history, Power Stone. We need a third Power Stone, please. So good. Sugoi. Fuck, it was so good.
That predated the modern interconnected society that we live in today. A lot of nostalgia is carried inside of many, as the mid-1990s are remembered as a time when the internet was just barely getting its footing into mainstream culture.
Thanks to
Personal
Prime
computers
Ireland.
during this era were nothing but an expensive novelty, at least for my family, and the ones that did have one used them primarily for work. In August of
True cuddles.
1995, Microsoft would release a revolutionary competitor to the Netscape Navigator, the pre-existing OG of internet browsing, called the Internet Explorer.
Yeah.
If you were lucky enough to get your hands on a PC in this era, then, combined with the tools at your disposal in Windows 95, you were able to venture into the vast, wild west of an enigma known as the World Wide Web.
God, the internet back then was so wild and
In today's
wacky.
culture, things have changed.
I'll never forget when I was
Social media,
horny and typed in
discussion
like
boards, and
boobies
websites
and
in
went to
general
a site that had a
have
demon on it.
Sterilized,
Haunted.
being pushed to the brink of minimalism and moderation. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, but A lot of the magic and charm that existed in the wacky and terribly designed UIs of the past are largely gone, replaced by logos containing simple shapes, any shred of creative color being replaced by whites, Microsoft, and all-encompassing oversimplification of pretty much everything. As you've heard in my incessant rambling so far, the era was magical, and a lot of newfound creative mediums were on the rise. While video gaming via a conventional console was the primary method of escaping into a mystic world, the rise of the internet paved the path for a new form of interactive storytelling and interconnected social
Gaming.
And those were a little something
For
we now know
gamers.
as MMOs,
Oh.
or massive
Kinda.
multiplayer online video games.
I'm really sorry to hear that, bro. Wishing you the best moving forward. It's awful.
Of the many websites that were available to early adopters of the internet, one would be launched in April of 1995.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see
with the
that,
name of
dog.
Worlds.com.
My bad, man.
The website was created by a
Thank
company
you.
simply named Worlds Inc. and housed a public 3D chat room that players could enter and explore to their heart's content. According to the website, the minimum configuration is a 90 MHz or faster processor with 32 megabytes of memory. The recommended platform is a Pentium class processor.
Okay. Real quick, is it just me, or on his voice, is there like a really low voice layered into it? Is it just my headphones, or am I hearing like a fucking MMO demon in there? Yeah? Okay, cool. So it's not just me. I didn't know if my headphones were dying, or if Satan was communicating through Lil Nas's music and infiltrating or something like that. Fucking weirding me out. No one else mentioned it in the chat.
133 megahertz or faster with 48 megabytes of memory. Windows 95, 98, 2000, or NT. A whopping 80 megabytes of
Thanks,
free
Teresa,
hard
Red
drive
Rider,
space
and Marksman.
and an active internet connection. The game was a big success, mostly attributed to the novelty of virtual online chat rooms at the time, and garnered the attention of various big names, including David Bowie, Steven Spielberg, and a digital artist by the name of Tamik O'Theil. The latter two actually teamed up at one point and created an in-game environment called the Starbright World, which was aimed at giving
Wow.
seriously ill children an outlet to interact. The gameplay is mostly what you'd expect from something out of the mid-1990s. At the outset of registering your profile, players are given the opportunity to choose between various avatars to represent themselves in-game. Among them are a human, a penguin, a monster, a kangaroo, and a clown.
Good selections.
Advertising
Not
on
bad.
websites are various realms.
Oh,
that
and
are
you can be on the
available for you to
Yankees?
Explore at your leisure. Among the hundreds that you're able to choose from, a few notable ones include worlds themed around David Bowie, the New York Yankees, the band Hanson, the Sky, an Animal House, and a Fun House.
Thanks to resub.
Venturing out into worlds for the first time,
Spionix?
you're thrown into a central hub with other players from around the world. The various themed environments that we mentioned prior are accessible through tunnels and doors that are next to their labels, and entering these immediately loads whichever one you so choose.
Pretty innovative for its
Like
time, to
any
be
3D
fair.
PC game is achieved using your keyboard and mouse, and also available to you is a chat box,
Thanks to
allowing
Prime.
you to communicate to
Again,
others
Grinna.
in real time. Now this seems like nothing out of the ordinary. Along with the primitive graphics, the game is pretty substandard today. At the time though, this was absolutely groundbreaking, and PC owners flooded this thing, giving it a burst of life that would deem Worlds.com a massive success.
Fuck yeah.
As with anything that's been crafted in the digital age though, the user base began to decline over the years. With the
Kinda
advent
seen
of
it.
various
More like Second
competitors,
Life.
The mid-2000s brought with it the inevitable desertion of the Worlds.com user base as players moved on to bigger and better ventures. Second Life, RuneScape, Toontown, VMK, MyCoke,
Habbo
and
Hotel.
Habbo
Yeah, I knew it
were
was coming.
becoming viable alternatives that not only looked better, but gave players more to do with their own distinct charm. You may have noticed that most of the names
Soon,
that just start
Rotok.
off are now defunct. The Toontown, VMK, and MyCoke live support plugs were pulled as their developers encountered an existential problem that was prevalent from the start. They couldn't find a way to monetize them. Combined with this, the fact that these games were all run with the help of moderation teams and ongoing servers, it became evident that as long as these virtual worlds were online, whoever it was that was running them was losing money. At this point, you'd expect Worlds Inc. to pull the plug. With a dwindling user base and aging game mechanics, it seemed like this was the only sensible way to go.
Oh, giant spider, watch out, holy shit!
Or release something new and optimized for the next generation of online gaming. But they didn't.
Damn, this place is popping off
As
in
a
there.
matter of fact, Worlds.com is still downloadable and accessible to this day, and stands as an uncanny and deserted relic of the past.
God, this is cool.
Rumor has it that the game's creator,
I wanna play.
Tom Kidron, is simply fronting the server costs himself and running it out of his own home.
Good man.
That begs the question,
Thanks.
why on earth would an individual be fronting the costs to keep a dead video game alive? What part of this?
He's got a
landscape
virtual girlfriend with
is
big
so
titties.
pivotal that it's still in existence over 20 years later?
This looks so cool, look at this.
In the short span of time that I've been here, it suddenly dawned on me that I'm visibly the new guy. Everyone here seems to know it.
Uh-oh.
I'm not a regular.
They think he's a cop. They think he's the feds.
Comfortable. Down the rabbit hole.
Run, get out of there. Engage, no clip. Thanks to resub Broden and Kenway. Yeah, someone is still running the servers, he just said that.
Rumors began to spread about the game thanks to certain anons from 4chan's VNX boards. Allegedly, there existed potentially illegal and cult-like behavior from the game's handful of players during that time period. As you'd expect, upon catching wind of this, the rest of 4chan did what they do and went in to investigate. Before we continue, I wanted to make something explicitly clear. In my hunting, it dawned on me that these allegations surfaced at a point in time that predated the year 2012. I say this because the oldest records that I've been able to dig up are from that year. Unfortunately, most of the archives, images, and audio files that we're going to get into have been lost to time.
What?
However, there are some that allow us to piece together a cohesive storyline as to what actually went on in Worlds.com. So let's talk about the game itself. A major element at the game's core was the ability for users to create and host their own customized universes.
Wait, I'm confused. What does he say? So everything here,
Shaper.
2012? What?
Much like Minecraft, if someone chose to do so, they could create their own server, build what they want, and invite certain players through a downloadable file that's accessible through Shaper. Many of these became archived on various websites, and even today, there are download links out there to access certain
Everything
custom
dated
worlds.
before 2012 are lost.
Effectively,
Okay.
the possibilities were endless, and harnessing
Thanks,
the
Rishabandi.
creative freedom that they were given, players were able to create some admittedly impressive worlds. Now that it's died down, though, things have become a bit darker. A bit more controversial.
I'm not sure about Second
so to
Life
speak.
having a cult.
While there are groups of people that are or might be strange in their own right, there are two that have starkly stood out to me as the most mysterious. Two users, a Gimbly and a Nexialist. Interestingly, both have crossed paths in the game. However, their stories couldn't be further apart. Contrary to Nexialist, the stories surrounding Gimbly seemed a bit more grounded in reality. But we'll get to it.
So what are this? Are those like the two raid bosses or something in here? The two different big groups?
First, I'd like to introduce you to Nexialist. According to an early 2012 blog by the name of ForgottenWorlds.com, the profile piece on him states the following. Nexialist is a regular at Worlds.com that has been trying to pull in the VNX boards to play this game. Nexialist is a successful user that's been able to get a cult following in the game which is hard to do. He constantly reaches out to dedicated players to join him, as he seems to be called the Key Bearer.
Key Bearer.
Around the game without
Okay.
chatting. This isn't even close to covering entirely who this guy is rumored to be, so allow me to pick up where they left off. According to 4chan and various message boards, Nexialist is abstruse, a shred of indecipherable mystery that's lurked worlds.com for what some believe to be as long as the early 2000s. Encountering him,
This is wacky.
and it's been rumored that you don't actually find him, he finds you. Upon discovering you, he'll approach you without words, standing as what appears to be a lifeless corpse as you begin to quietly panic at his disturbing avatar. After the initial shock dies down, you're told to follow him, and as a result, you embark on a journey through hellish customized corridors that bear satanic symbolism and graphic imagery.
Who is this guy? Can we get an update on the guy playing Professor Utonium? Where does he fit into this grand scheme?
After your tour, Nexialist will begin sending you disturbing audio files. Audio files that I wasn't able to find archives for, but if we go by descriptions from 4chaners, it's safe to assume that these sound like the distorted deaths of dying animals. Once you're scared to your wits' end and you leave the game, he already knows that you're going to go to 4chan to talk about it, because that's what he wants you to do. Spread the word, get people talking, and the next sucker that grows a sliver of curiosity and decides to check it out is his next victim. Unfortunately, this all reads like an urban legend. People have been able to capture screenshots and video of Nexialist over the years, but not much, aside from very few outliers, have been found that outlines what I'm describing. Because of that, I'd like to put a pin in this arcane figure and circle back on him later, because
This is the game Vinesauce played,
I'd
Vinny?
like to bring you into.
Is it? Someone I saw on one of those threads. And he didn't encounter Nexialist?
The Hidden Worlds website that I mentioned earlier serves as a diary of the experiences that a man named
Hey,
George
thank you,
Costanza
Deathstorm.
had witnessed when he first played Worlds. According to his blog, he found a bizarre network that this Jimbly guy seems to be running, and the entries on his website outline a considerable amount of information that I'd like to dive into and unpack. The very first post on the website was made on January 5th, 2012. It reads as follows. Well, I started playing this game called Worlds.com. Seemed innocent, but according to V, it has some fucked up things from the past. Everything's forgotten here, and in a group we explored the game. In the coming days we'll share our stories and pictures here. Further on that day, another post was made outlining Jimbly's supposed network and its inner workings. The game started as
Interesting, Soul Eater.
we had gags while we explored the worlds, skeletons popping out, and finding Pegasus. Things a person could expect from playing Roblox or other games where your creations are welcome. But things turned bizarre. Our friend Grad, as we called him, was showing us these rooms that I mentioned, and eventually we ended up in a lobby filled with brown doors with text on them. These doors had the creator's name and a description of the level or world. This guy, Bilbo99, had messed up levels with Easter eggs everywhere, and we praised him for his creepiness. And then I noticed at the right corner of my window said erotic in
Hey,
This
Jimbly!
map was Jimbly's creation.
Fuck yeah,
It was
look at
a template
him.
with
He's having
shots
fun.
like Starbucks. However, things would take a turn. You see, there was a person that contacted me named Megalik. Her or his avatar
Thanks, Resub
was
Crabs.
of a bird or an angel. She claimed that she was new in the world, as I was, but she'd been playing this game for a week and already gotten dirty and knew what this shit was really about. To act new is a common trick to bait new players. Anyway, Jimbly had a network that was serious. How serious? To enter his network, you
Whoa!
need to provide mugshots. For example, here's Bilbo99. There were a total
Hey,
of 3
Bilbo.
rooms filled with different mugshots of users, but room 2 was dedicated to Jimbly.
Hold on. Let me go to the bathroom real quick. Give me 2 seconds. Sorry to blue ball you. Alright, I'm fucking back. Ended up taking a shit. Jump scared myself with my own fart. Pretty wild series of events. Let's go.
So we scavenged for Megalik and found this.
Well, I can't do that right now, Radis. You're gonna have to ask a mod.
One thing I found that was standing out was a user named Kelikar. She was in the porn gallery, and I compiled this. It seems like someone has stalked her, and the rooms were labeled Kelicat. This user must have been a fat cat in the network. As you can see, Kelikat's written there, so what Jimly does now is retrieving nude pictures of regulars that are still left. Megalik was the proof that we needed, since she'd only been playing for a week tops.
Wow, Jesus, Jimbly.
Below this, George displays the various screen caps that he was able to take of the various mugshots of different users. Of the bunch, he was even able to grab a few of Jimbly himself. Intrigued by this atypical finding, he decided that him and his group of friends wanted to investigate a bit on their new friend.
I don't think I've seen that, Kumgar.
As it turns out, there was a bit more going on with him than they initially thought. And yet another post from the same day, titled, Megalik, a man or a woman, he describes the following. Megalik's nudes that can be found in the other post seemed too good to be true. Her head was cropped out and with the body of a young woman, while her mugshot shows an older woman in her 40s, and that picture's really old. What does that leave us with? She could have faked them because she doesn't want.
So how is this a cult? I'm a little confused.
A man playing as a female.
Seems like a Reddit mod using his power to get pictures.
Real email, although it's linked to a man by the name of John. John's in his 50s, seems to enjoy MMOs.
Thanks to Tier 1 Biscuit Boy.
Any interest of games, and has her only Facebook activity labeled as kids. So yes, Megalik might be or is the man posing as a fragile woman while baiting for pictures. Those pictures up there, except for his profile picture, is a year old. The pictures are from 2009, and then he used a picture of his wife to verify himself, and thought how cool it would be to send a fake picture of a pair of tits to make him look like a god in the game.
Okay. Classic John, I guess.
This network encompasses some extremely odd people. People that are impersonating others and using real-world mugshots to gain access to whatever it is that he's running. One might go as far to say that Nexialist isn't the cult leader here, but rather, it's Jimbly, as most of the rumors about the former seem to relate to what we found with the latter. In a third post I'd like to focus on, titled, Jimbly's Inner Circle.
Oh, sweet. Well, thank you,
George
Spooky.
proceeds to explain the following. The last post was about this weird map, about a man going by the name Jimbly that was trying to get naked pictures from regulars, or old players that were still active. So we stalked him. He hung out at a beach, but once we arrived, they'd all scatter and disappear. Thankfully, though, the friend tool and a built-in avatar tool could let us teleport to them while
wow, good shit.
But that was for later. Meanwhile, we scavenged the net for Jimbly. We found his website, jimblyworlds.com.
Whoa, Jimbly.
Pictures, jimblyworlds.com/pics, only to show a black screen with red typed text that said darkness.
Pretty cool website.
George reveals publicly accessible information about Jimbly, including an email address, before closing his post with the revelation that also, Jimbly's into traps. This can be found in his porn gallery. With this in the back of our mind, you know I couldn't just let this go. I had to get in. I had to find out if this was real.
There's no way it'd still be
I
up.
emailed Jimbly and began my hunt.
What would it be, 7 years later?
Jeremy Erickson. I start a message and write the following. Good evening, Jimbly. I've recently started playing Worlds and was interested in joining your in-game network to congregate with yourself and other players. Upon consulting with a few anons from X, I was told to reach out. I've downloaded a few worlds from your websites and am currently trying to get them working. Just let me know what I need to do when I'm in. Thanks, Jeremy.
This really doesn't seem like a cult, though. It's just a weird community.
So
Maybe
it's
it
been a
gets
few
culty
days.
now.
After a trek through worlds, a lack of a response, and dwindling time to wait, it's beginning to seem like Jimbly either isn't currently active or simply doesn't play this anymore. Though I have a hard time believing that, considering the fact that the Whois domain search on his website reveals that it was updated on November 5th of 2019. I'm not entirely sure if Jimbly's the kind of guy that would have a sudden change of heart, but if you ask me, it is a bit recent. Anyway, with that under our belt, unfortunately, heading back to the blog reveals that most of the other threads outline mundane discoveries while exploring various official and user-crafted worlds. A few notable highlights include some of Jimbly's bizarre creations.
Hey, that's
other
Banger
threads
Sisters, I
even
think?
remotely relevant to our investigation.
Saw that movie a long time ago.
Even so, the discoveries surrounding Gem are nothing short of unnerving. So what's actually going on here?
He's the Prime Purple Elite. So far, I haven't really seen anything too wild here. I was expecting something
Over the
fucking
years,
crazy.
The primary consensus
In fact,
surrounding
I
Worlds,
don't even know what we've
primarily
learned
given
other
Cialist,
than
was that it's a front.
these people
for some
play an
sort
old
of
game and are
satanic
kind of
cult.
weird.
Rumors are powerful things. I won't deny that, but there are a few points here that I'd like to unpack. Contrary to Cialist, Jimbly surprisingly hasn't generated much buzz online. This bizarre, cult-like network that he seems to have created
How is it cult-like, though?
effectively cements him as somewhat of a wild card in my theorization. What this guy is doing is weird. From the mugshots to the vast database of supposed network members to his secret repository of graphic imagery, it seems like he is the one actually running the rumored cult. While it doesn't deal with Satanism and death like the urban legends claimed, this guy is, whether he knows it or not, effectively catalyzing a situation in which people run the risk of being doxxed. It took George not even one full day to piece together the real identity of the wife and man behind the McGalick mugshots, and it's unclear how many other selfies that he has stashed away in the world that he's, according to the blog, been building since 2005. To be frank, aside from the lack of a response, I wasn't able to find much else surrounding this guy, and it's safe to assume that there are others like him. A game
I'm not
that's
sure,
largely
Rotalk.
abandoned, aside from a few key players, is surely something that would catch the eye of somebody trying to run some sort of network under the radar. With that being said, I encourage you to make your own conclusions about him. With the
Wait, is that
evidence
it?
at hand, it does appear that at one point in time, there was something going on behind the scenes. Whether or not it still is, or if the mysterious Jimbly is still active, remains to be seen. While I haven't been able to track him down, maybe you can, but keep in mind that if you're so curious as to venture in on your own, your potential discoveries may be nefarious. But remember, we're talking about Jimbly's custom worlds.
Thanks to Tier 1
Stay in the
Ludoplex.
official game,
The
and
gift
it's
sub
safe
Purple
to
Elite.
assume that you'll be alright. But that brings us to another point of discussion. Cialist. You might recall that I mentioned the fact that users are able to create their own worlds. This was actually a pivotal mechanic in the game and gave players an extra layer of interactivity. In a sense, I could see the developers feeling as if they're future-proofing their
Did
game
not do Vid
as it allows
Chronicles.
creative freedom that was unheard of before the point of its release. With this in mind, we have to remember that most of his so-called cult activity was happening in these aforementioned user worlds. Regardless of his eerie demeanor, Cialist was eager to
Thanks,
give
Resub
players
Ernie.
a tour of many of these. As it turns out though, he's apparently come off as quite ordinary to many players. In one post on Reddit by a user named Goomilord, they claim that they even encountered Nex and that he's merely a normal guy. Apparently, he switched his avatar to Sanic at one point and began spamming the words, "There is no cult on worlds.com" in the chat.
So he's just an
Take it for what
RPer.
you will.
Like, the guy just fucking RPs. Thanks to Resub Dick
So let's think about this logically.
and Ernie.
Worlds is, at its core, creepy in and of itself. The barren environments, combined with the uncanny primitive textures, naturally gives any unsuspecting players a sense of uneasiness, especially if you've caught wind of the various allegations surrounding Nex's mysterious character. To
That's
me,
pretty
I
cool.
believe that he's playing along, leading players to the belief that he's some sort of cult mastermind as a long-running joke. The worlds he frequents are creepy on purpose, and, in my opinion, he was capitalizing on it for a bit of fun.
Yeah,
His avatar
obviously,
is
for
unhinged.
sure.
He comes off strangely when he wants to, and he executes this with a group of willing friends. The same friends that we see in the so-called cult screenshots that were captured in-game. A weird hobby, but to each their own. I'm not judging.
So there was nothing.
Now with all of that out of the way, there's still one glaring question that remains. Why does World still exist?
That's the only really weird thing about it. Like, there's no point to keep it running. That's like the only odd thing. Like, Jimbly asking for pictures of people is the sign of a lonely person wanting to make sure, like, you know, this is a person, and I'm talking to a person. That's what it strikes me as. And the porn stuff is him taking fucking Google images.
Direct your attention to the game's owner. Tom Kidron, in his many years as the world's owner, has become somewhat known
There's the
as
5 goose subs,
something called
Lotoplex. Thank you, man.
troll. Patent trolls
Appreciate it,
essentially
man.
purchase many different elements and ideas of a particular product and squat on them for years, filing lawsuits against anyone that violates them. The reason that these people are called patent trolls mainly rests on the fact that the ones they purchase are typically what they perceive to be a sought-after and core element of a particular product. In this case, Kidron's been squatting on patent number 7,181,690,
Classic
which
patent.
is titled System and Method for Enabling Users to Interact in a Virtual Space. This was filed on August 3rd, 2000, with further detail in the following. The invention provides a highly scalable architecture for a three-dimensional graphical multi-user interactive virtual world system. In a preferred embodiment, a plurality of users interact in a three-dimensional, computer-generated graphical space where each user executes a...
Yeah, he probably sues everyone that makes one of these kind of games.
From the perspective of that user. Sounds broad, doesn't it? That was on purpose. Andy's used it. Even as of this year, there are articles all over Google explaining legal cases that Worlds Inc. has filed
World
against
vs.
companies and
Bungie?
IPs such as Second Life, Blizzard, Bungie, and more. And according to a Vice article from 2015,
They ever won?
Kidron rakes in a whopping $200,000 a year from his court proceedings. This
No way.
effectively explains away the server cost. When not many, if any players play your game at all, the result of this is cheap upkeep, low bandwidth, low server costs. Ergo, he's raking in cash with a positive net income. In the US, the typical patent lifespan is 20 years, so at the time of writing this, we have just short of 9 months before Kidron would either have to renew or simply let it expire. As a result of
I'm
this,
sure he renewed.
if he so chooses, he could let it run its course and retire from his relentless court proceedings. If he does, I wouldn't be surprised if the world's game goes down with it, effectively and permanently leaving this artifact of a game to die.
Someone do it for me. Did he renew it or did... Well, I already know he fucking renewed it.
So, all in all, as it turns out, Jimbly is the real enigma here. The custom worlds that he, and potentially others, have created are an indisputable testament to the underbelly of this archaic MMO. Today, it's unclear whether he's still active in the game or not.
Oh,
Even so,
this is a huge
the inner
tier
mechanisms
3.
of this fabled network are something
Rates
that perplexes
2?
me, as I see no end goal
Thank you.
other than to hoard a repository of
Appreciate the
images
huge
for
tier
his own
3.
enjoyment. Why he chose Worlds.com to do it is and will forever remain beyond me. Regardless, Worlds, whether still online by nefarious reasons or not, stands as somewhat of a time capsule to the primitive era of social gaming. Today, with the official non-custom Worlds, it stands as a corpse of the past, a window into what once was, and a sliver of mystical nostalgia, sending us back into a time when we all first discovered the world of the internet.
Very cute.
As far as we know, servers are, to this day, willingly being kept alive. Alongside this, the inevitable date that the game permanently goes offline is unclear, so if you're eager to experience this curiosity of old, then you better get on it soon. Stay in the official servers, and you'll be fine.
Oh, so this is not the game Vinny played.
That's
I
gonna
looked when I was
make
shitting.
sense
He
then.
played Active Worlds.
Otherwise, you'll run the risk of missing the nostalgic boat, leaving it to sail away, and for us to watch it go.
Yeah, so I feel like that was a bit off. Literally nothing cultish about that. You have a guy who's RPing, and you even mentioned that it's literally RPing, not really cultish. Gimbly, I think, is easily explained because it's clearly a lonely guy, and he asks for the pictures of anyone that plays and wants to be his friend. Not the most uncommon thing in the world. And the porn shit was just stock images, right? So it's not like I don't know where the cult was. Nexpo bid. I do like the channel.
MoistCr1tikal was stuck at home during an excruciatingly long winter. He was what his parents believed to
Was
be
his name
a problem
Ween?
child, experiencing nightmares, arguing with his 7 siblings, and getting in trouble at school. Having gone on record to state that his father beats him with hockey sticks, it was undeniable that their humble abode in suburban Connecticut was less of a place of refuge for him. The man on the phone says that Wayne should come right away and that they'll have a private jet waiting for him at Danbury Airport.
What a good deal.
His mom tells him not to worry,
Wow.
and that it's more of an outdoor camp type thing that'll make him better. So Wayne packed up his stuff that night. Eager? Sure. Nervous? Yes. But absolutely awaiting the things to come. Inquire on why he was sent there.
Who made this vid? It's Nexpo.
Drugs.
I keep seeing this one's fucked up.
When Wayne began to question whether he
Why?
was going to the place he thought he was.
Cults are known to be pretty
Something
cool.
didn't seem right. Looks like a camp, he thinks. However, when he exits the vehicle, he isn't greeted with the silent serenity of nature, but instead, the screaming.
Yeah, but that could mean anything. I scream when I'm having a lot of fun. Like, yeehaw, we're having fun. Yeah, I saw the American Horror Story cult season. American Horror Story is the best shitty show.
Across the United States, a rise in for-profit behavior modification facilities were in action. Now called the troubled teen or tough love industry, it seemed to be a money machine aimed at altering and stifling troublesome behavior in adolescence.
Well,
The
someone's
exact
got
date is
to.
hard to gauge, given that this was the decade following the rise of the hippie subculture. Authority was and had been challenged for years.
Whoa! That facial hair is kind of nutty. That looks cool. It's like Wolverine, but not cool like Wolverine's. It's like a little cushion. That's nice. That's like an OG neckbeard.
In early 1970, a psychiatrist
Thanks to
named
Resub
Gerald Davidson,
Finca.
alongside investor David Goldberg and a man named Joseph Ritchie, would band together to create a school named Elan, a private co-ed behavior modification program geared from grade 8 to beyond high school. Ritchie billed the facility as one that would correct bad behavior by teens without punishment, while painting himself as a genuine mentor that could help make that happen.
They had a
City 133
website?
have gone on record to state that their initial outside impression of the school was that it was like a summer camp in the Maine woods. However,
Looks like a summer
level.
camp.
Furthermore, some have stated
It does
that
look like
once they
Crystal
exit
Lake.
the vehicle expecting a lively campground, they're instead faced with a sight much stranger. Some students were spotted wearing degrading signs, some shackled in handcuffs,
What?
some being yelled at. Point.
They
It's been
take
noted
discipline
that
very
some students
seriously.
attempt to flee. School was marketed, touting itself as an altruistic institution genuinely concerned with helping troubled teenagers get better. It was clear from the outside that those claims were a reach.
Is that Charles Manson teaching the class?
But
Man, they got
just how far
celebrities,
would they take
teachers.
that?
Good for them.
Observe the
So
vernacular
this is pretty
used to
recent.
appeal to each parent. Dear parents, we're very aware of how lonely and confused you must feel as you sit down to read this. If you're like the parents of most of our students, you're faced with an adolescent whose behavior is out of control and you don't know why. A youngster who's been given everything and is throwing it all away is difficult to understand, but you can see that this process is progressive. The most saddening part is knowing that your offspring is ruining his or her future. Your own pain is difficult, but your pain for your child is unbearable.
Yeah, they're not reaching their
But
full
coming to
potential.
Milan, it's been noted that Joseph Ritchie was somewhat of a salesman. He was charismatic and excelled at convincing parents of all the good that Alon could do for their kids. The good that, as we'll soon find, was all a lie. Reportedly, once your parents agreed to send you off to Alon and pay the $50,000 tuition fee, they designated time and date with Alon's so-called teen escort service. They wouldn't pick you up during the day, though. Instead, in the middle of the night when you're fast asleep, they would bust through your door and kidnap you.
Why?
In years past, Alon's staff have stated that since the child has no say in attending, their capture hinges on the element of surprise.
Okay.
According to a blog,
so are these just stories what?
Physically subduing them.
Are these just stories this guy makes up? What? No, what? Is all you read creepypastas? Why would he make up a 52-minute story and make websites to corroborate it and evidence and stuff? It's just like a history lesson that's well presented.
Tying them up with plastic handcuffs, throwing them into a van, and then driving them to Poland, Maine, where they'd be handed over to the Alon School. Such experiences often traumatized the teens who were abducted. For all they knew at first, they were being taken by criminals to be held ransom, tortured, or worse, killed. This practice became notorious around the United States, eventually earning its nickname, the Alon Snatch.
So this was so well known that it had its own name?
Morality wasn't the school's strong suit.
The 70s, man? What are you talking about? This was in 2000. They have a fucking website. Had a website.
Day 1. Students would typically arrive to Alon during the early morning hours of the day.
Oh, it started in the 70s. Oh, gotcha. I see what you're saying.
To resist their escorts.
I see what you're saying, sorry.
It's been noted that their capture was designed this way, utilizing their escape attempt against them as a tool to convey that no matter what, they're not getting out of there. Often, the first stop would be the dormitory showers, which served as a tool in robbing each student of their sense of individuality. Reportedly, students are thrown into them with absolutely no privacy and are demanded to remove all of their clothing and valuable items. After complying, they're given what Alon calls no-image clothing, which, as the name implies, simply includes a bland, colorless shirt and pants, effectively forcing them into a state of conformity.
Well, let's not get carried away. A white t-shirt's pretty cool.
Each new student would be taken into a common area where there is
I wouldn't necessarily look too deep into that.
This, in essence, was a tenured student designated to be a guide. On paper, they were told to help their students adjust to their new life on campus, somewhat like a peer, while educating them on how great and effective the program is. As we've seen in studies like the Stanford Prison Experiment, I'm sure you can see why this wouldn't be a bad idea.
I don't know that experiment.
Oftentimes, Big Brother figures, much like staff, would take great pleasure in exerting their superiority over the newer students.
Looks like the house from Promised Neverland.
If you want to act like a baby, you get screamed at. If you want to act as more like a mature adolescent, you get talked to.
Oh, so I was like, wait, what?
Speaking of cults.
Was that footage from Elon University? Is it Elon or Elan? I don't know how to say it. Either way. But didn't he just say that they were forced to wear, like, the colorless shirts? Because that guy, like, that second guy, he's kind of dripped out. He's got a chain on. He's got a red button up. Oh, that was staff. Gotcha.
The social hierarchy at Alon is structured in a way that heavily resembles one. At the school, students are immediately placed into two categories. Strengths, which were tenured, obedient students that were a few steps up the totem pole, and non-strengths, the newer ones who typically resisted treatment. Strengths were allowed to talk to fellow strengths and non-strengths. Non-strengths, on the other hand, were only permitted to communicate with strengths. If a non-strength were caught communicating with a non-strength, harsh punishment would soon greet them. They were quickly disconnected, reprimanded, and robbed of any future potential.
So if this is supposed to be a scam, I feel like this is a lot more effort than just not
on top of the phone manipulation
doing this.
Every Alon resident was required
it seems like so much more work to
calls
abuse the
a guilt
kids.
Letter, which, as you might expect, is an explanation of how great the Alon school is for them, all the great activities they do there, and how well they're progressing through the program. These letters would be heavily scrutinized before being mailed out to their parents. In most
yeah, I
cases,
get that it's a cult,
verbally
but usually
tortured
cults have a
with the pleasure
purpose.
Of the Alon school staff. It was clear to students that they weren't getting away from this anytime soon. And after realizing this, their minds would often pivot away from rebellion and towards compliance in hopes of power.
Yeah, money. That's why I would think they'd want to run a scam as opposed to a cult. And it'd be so much easier to
ultimately stuck
not
in a
abuse the
system that will
kids.
do
Takes a lot
everything
more
it
work to do
possibly
that, I
can
imagine.
to make their escape.
So I'm assuming there is a point to the cult, like they want to turn these kids into like super soldiers or something, I don't really know. But if it was just a scam, they're putting a lot of work into it. Whereas they could just take the kids here for $50K a year and
As
just
you
let
might
them play
expect,
basketball
the
and
rules
sleep.
at the Elan school were immense. Exerting nearly totalitarian control over everything that happens, Joe Ritchie's set of rules, which he called guilt, was gargantuan and needlessly meticulous.
Maybe tier 1 Wheeloo.
As a student at Elan, you would be expected to refrain from doing the following: having any image, reading as a non-strength, not completing learning experiences, writing without permission, being sideways, looking at security zones, non-strength interacting, talking too loudly, talking too softly, looking at the opposite gender, being attracted to someone, any physical contact, looking out windows, unauthorized drawing, not listening to higher ranks, pretending to sleep at night, thinking of running away, being in the bathroom for too long, wearing dark clothing, being manipulative, being lazy while working, listening to music, talking too much, showering for
all in all, they're
15
pretty
minutes,
lenient.
not talking enough, making facial reactions to orders, negative body language, pretending not to have guilt, oversleeping, undersleeping, smiling, and the list goes on and on.
That's not bad.
Clearly, these rules were not designed to be followed.
Basically a lawless
causing
place
harsh
over there.
penalizations to become commonplace. To help enforce these,
Thanks to Resub
individuals
Integra
known
and
as
Razzle Dazzle.
expediters were designated by the school to stand on watch with clipboards. Primarily, they were known to catch those that broke 3 rules: being attracted to members of
Thanks to
the opposite
Gift Sub
gender, looking at the opposite gender, and making prolonged eye contact with anyone else. Since Expediters too were required to fill their clipboards with names and infractions at the risk of their own punishment, they frequently and unapologetically made assumptions and accusations that were a lie. Cases, and the requirement to wear a bright yellow t-shirt and short pink shorts. The school figured that without laces, their shoes were effectively useless, in turn preventing any ability to move any faster than a walk.
What is it, like
more
barbed
extreme
wire on the
example
ground
of
or
split
something?
risk punishment
Just go
is
barefoot.
shown with this student. Instead of a t-shirt and shorts though, he was forced to wear a bright pink rabbit suit with cuffs around his legs. It's unclear if this is a repeat offender, but it raises the question as to how far Elan would actually go with this tactic.
Thanks to Resub Hunter.
Students that smiled at a place were punished by wearing dunce caps and reduced to work that the school calls shot down. These involved repetitious, dull tasks like mopping floors, scrubbing the insides of trash cans, and even cleaning toilets with just a single toothbrush.
Man, if I
hours
went to
and
one of
hours
these
on end.
fucking schools, if my parents
If
sent
you
me
had to
here,
use the
I would never
bathroom when
forgive
shot
them.
down, it's been noted that approval by sometimes 6 or more superiors was required before you were able. And even then, an escort had to watch you while you were in there. This, on top of a myriad of other degrading punishments,
Maybe some
like
retribution.
humiliating sign and diaper wearing, it's clear that Elan kept an iron grip on their daily operations. Their daily operations that took up most of the daily schedule, and those that were deceptively named by the Elan school themselves as their treatment.
Makes it a bit savage. Give sub Ethan.
But I will say, all of these punishments are relatively tame compared to what we're about to talk about. Let's just say, if you pissed off a staff member, they could start something called a general meeting on you. And trust me, you wouldn't want one.
That doesn't sound so intense. Well, we're just gonna debate, huh?
There seemed to be no standard for them. Get your feelings off, the administrator screams. And following this, each student in the room would begin screaming at and berating the student, firing off slurs and obscenities. For
Oh, so it's like Twitter.
No matter how much
Pretty
the student
innovative.
pled for everyone to stop, no matter how much they broke down, no matter how much they cried, general meetings would not end until the admin said so. And when it finally did, the victim would lie there, often crying and exhausted at the relentless abuse that they'd just endured. It's clear that general meetings aren't designed to reprimand. They're designed to completely break each and every student that's the subject of one. And with this, we can effectively put the points together that Alon was doing nothing more than running an operation that commanded total compliance. Any self-thought or sliver of independence that students thought they had was gone. They were merely reduced to weapons. Weapons that, at a moment's notice, could just as easily be used against them. "7 p.m.
Are they also haunted by vampires or something too? Like, how much worse can it get? Fucking werewolves or something?
On academia and outside marketing, school time within Alon was secondhand to the students' treatment. Typically, the time frame for learning was 7 to 11 p.m., but sometimes could run longer. As you might expect, there were no extracurriculars, no physical education,
on Squish
no
in the
projects,
Resub Kakaru, Zero,
no
and
legitimate
Gengar.
exams, nothing. Instead, students were required to grade themselves on work that they were self-assigned with absolutely no direction. Allegedly, he believed students were easier to control while sleep-deprived and utilized even this as a medium to work against them. By 11 p.m., if a student makes it through a night of work without issue, school hours then draw to a close.
Not bad.
They're quickly released from class and escorted to their dorms, which were often in the form of uncomfortable, impersonal, military-style bunk beds.
That's military style? A piece of wood?
Sleep was known to be difficult, as designated students named night owls were assigned to stand guard with flashlights. In regular intervals, they'd shine them on the sleeping students to both ensure that they hadn't escaped and to secure the fact that they're actually asleep.
What?
A requirement that, as we can recall, was also in the list of Alon's rules. And if one actually manages to calm their nerves, dozing off into their only time of tranquility, that would allow them to effectively place the cap on a day in the nightmare.
I just want to see if, like, the main guy behind it's still alive, but I don't want it to be a spoiler either. His name was, like, Joe something, and I forgot, so I'm trying to find it. It says, I don't think it's Joe Rogan, but it keeps wanting me to type in Joe Rogan. It was like Joe something. Richie, that's what it was. He's dead. Damn.
A notorious aspect of Alon, among everything else that happened there, was something called the Ring. Considered the highest level of punishment, Alon staff could make the call to start the Ring at any time. Enough for a specific student.
Well, I gave them safety equipment.
In the Ring, a student's designated as a bully and is outfitted with a face guard and gloves. No one was safe from the Ring either. Some bore pre-existing injuries, some were much smaller than their opponent, and some were even pregnant.
Wait, what?
Even worse, things seemed to be treated like a game, with superiors commentating.
This is only up to high school.
TV. In reality,
how are the...
This was the furthest...
Wait, I'm super curious then. So how were some of them pregnant? Because you're not even allowed to look at the opposite gender, and assuming that you lived here for a year, how would you get pregnant? That makes no sense to me. I guess if they could have arrived pregnant, which would check out. Staff? Oh, I see what you're saying, by the staff. Right. Thanks to the prime material. I keep forgetting that there's actual adults behind this, because it looks like, it sounds like they literally only appoint the students to do everything here. It's like Lord of the Flies.
This thing from TV.
It costs $17,400 to send the average youngster to Elan for 1 year. Even at that price, there are judges, social workers, and parents who consider it a bargain. Elan's defenders claim it has the most consistently effective program for salvaging young people who are too difficult for other facilities to handle.
It's administered by the kids, first of all. Corporal, it's a harsh term. Okay, what it is we have the Ring, okay, which...
oh, he's super open about it.
Misinterprets. It's not a boxing ring, it's a ring of human people. The bully is introduced as what he is. In this corner, is the bully who's trying to turn this facility into a detention center. Okay? And in this corner is the house champion who's going to show him why it can't be done. And that's exactly how it does. And we never allow the bully to win.
But girls get put in the ring, too.
Well, girls bully as well as boys do. I mean, you know, it doesn't, it's, you know, we're a equal rights facility.
Oh, that's progressive, okay.
Spanking, which is symbolic. Again, it's a last resort. Okay,
wow.
and it's one resident spanking another resident, and it's done with a ping pong paddle. Okay, and usually a person won't get spanked more than once or twice, but it's a symbolic thing, which is if you're going to act like a baby, you should be treated like a baby.
On December
so he is just super open about it.
A 15-year-old Elan student named Philip Williams was placed into the ring. And so, that evening, a ring session commenced with Phil as the bully. There was fight after fight after fight. In the end, it's been reported that he was beaten up so badly that he fell flat on the floor, and it took an entire 20 minutes before an ambulance was called to help him. 20 minutes or so they called the ambulance. They took Phil and they never saw him again. His sister claims, "I thought it was a wonderful place. I thought they were helping my brother. I thought he was coming home."
How can you think that when they actually kidnapped him?
In a box.
Like, I don't get that delusion.
Elan's
Their technique was to
official response
kidnap
was
them.
that he had regularly faked headaches. The cause of death? A brain aneurysm. And no charges were ever filed against them.
Yeah.
That cult is one by the name of Synanon.
Never heard of it, and I know a lot of cults.
County, with a warrant to investigate reports of child abuse.
In recent years, Synanon began calling itself a religion.
He's 52 years old. He's deaf in one ear. He's an egomaniac. But one of the wisest persons that I've ever met in my life.
He knows how to get people moving. He creates turbulence.
Gentlemen,
Is the prime bone scope?
no member of the California Department of Corrections is permitted on Synanon property unless he has the express permission of Charles D.
Very cool spectacles. What is he, a fighter pilot?
In early 1958, a man by the name of Charles Dedrick Sr. would found the group in Santa Monica, California. It was intended to be a drug rehabilitation program aimed at delinquents. However, in the years that followed, it appeared to stray from that mission entirely. The distinguishing form of therapy employed by Synanon was something called the game, which, in today's terms, is more commonly known as attack therapy. The focus of the game was
It's a
to
really
break down the
weird
social
title for it.
construct of an individual's mind by
Attack
first allowing them to
therapy?
open up about themselves before commencing an aggressive beratement session, much like we discussed earlier with general meetings. The primary goal was to recreate someone's personality and sense of self by completely demolishing
Thanks for
everything
gifts
they know
again,
about
Remy.
themselves
The resub
before
mango.
rebuilding them as a newer, subjectively better person. It hinged on the brink of legality while being entirely immoral. And, unsurprisingly, by 1991, the cult would disband due to criminal convictions that caught up to many of their members. The founder also died just 6 years later, leaving behind a dark legacy that, to this day, is known as one of the most dangerous and violent cults that America has ever seen.
That's weird. I've never heard of him.
This is, of course, the abridged history. To be honest with you, I could make an entire hour-long video on the operations and practices of Synanon.
Oh, they look like they're having
That's a story for
fun.
another day. If there's one takeaway tonight, though, it's that it unknowingly
Fucking
served as
groovin'.
an inspiration and blueprint for other institutions to follow. One of those being Elan, and by utilizing similar practices, they appeared to carry the torch that Synanon was forced to abandon. They knew they had to keep up appearances too, thriving off an immaculate public
Thank the
image
Brian
spearheaded
Mihu.
by the charisma of Joe Ritchie.
Joe.
Before the age of the internet, admittedly this
Man's
was easy.
built with Prime Pink. Why didn't they fight back? Brother kids. What do you mean?
Through the late 70s and into the early 80s, reports of the true nature of Elan began to spread by word of mouth from former students. Authorities in Maine reportedly visited the school upwards of 12 times to investigate, however returned with absolutely nothing to show for it. Frustratingly, the operation that Joe Ritchie was running was completely and entirely legal. There were no laws in place for facilities like this, so it was allowed to remain in operation without issue. As we touched on, the media was the primary in for outsiders at the lawn. However, even they failed to communicate the extent of their operations. While they showed select parts of it, unfortunately Joe Ritchie was given enough airtime to convince the public and the news crew that it was nothing more than their treatment taking place. By dehumanizing the students, emphasizing their delinquencies on national television, he was able to use this notoriety to his advantage, ultimately swaying the public opinion into believing that what he was doing was entirely good. On top of the growing number of alumni, though, came an increase in escapees, which only furthered Alon's unwanted infamy. Over the years, 3 students, a 16-year-old unidentified individual,
nice.
a 15-year-old Brad Glickman,
good work,
and a 17-year-old Don Birnbaum would all escape successfully, however would meet wildly differing fates.
Oh.
For the 16-year-old, it's been reported that he ran over 15 miles through the wilderness in the middle of the night. He was eventually caught by an officer, Max Ashburn, and after hearing the boy's story and observing his physical condition, he helped him return home.
What a good guy!
For Brad Glickman, he was shot.
Oh.
In 1990, after escaping Alon's search parties, he made his way to a house in a small town. Authorities believed that he had a connection to the girl that lived there. However, the homeowner opened fire, ultimately killing him.
What? What? That's like the most American shit I've ever heard in my life. This guy must know my daughter. Like, what? Jesus Christ. Actually, 2 gift subs Kill Command and the resub Terra in Tier 1 Summer.
And for Don Birnbaum,
how unlucky,
too had escaped the clutches of Alon, eventually finding a trucker named James Cruz who was willing to take her home. A few hours down the road, though, Birnbaum would find that Cruz's true intentions weren't quite so virtuous.
Oh, Jesus.
As it turned out, he sexually assaulted her on the side of the highway before strangling and abandoning her body between routes 26 and 550 in Pennsylvania. She was discovered by another motorist with a yellow rope tied around her neck and without clothes from the waist down. And from her corpse were tire tracks resembling that of a semi-trailer. Since Birnbaum had crossed state lines, an FBI investigation was commenced for her, and after cross-checking with numerous similar cases that have happened in the area, the truck belonging to James Cruz was deemed as the culprit. Upon catching up to him and searching his vehicle, authorities were able to find but a single blonde hair that belonged to Birnbaum, effectively leading to his arrest.
That's incredible detective work. Like, just think about that for a second. This is in the middle of fucking nowhere. Random trucker picks up a random student, well, student's the wrong word, random person from a cult, and they somehow tracked it down to the right guy who did it. That is incredible.
What's incredible?
Just the detective work here. There's a Tier 1 pack. And the resub Juke and the Prime Scary Man, and the resub Genius and Virgin Shadow. What?
A cult in a boarding school?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it is pretty wild. What are you doing?
What do you think I'm doing? Just watching One Piece.
Okay, well, have fun.
I'm not even playing any games right now.
Well, that's fine. Yeah, you're in a good arc. You're having fun.
It's a really good arc. It really is.
Thanks to resub Side Jellyfish.
Hi, chat. I'm seeing all the hellos, but I can't read too much past that because my glasses are not on. Anyways, I'm gonna go back to that.
Okay, well, have fun.
Much to the school's displeasure, these cases successfully gained ample attention. Joe Ritchie resultingly paid off numerous judges and journalists in hopes of drowning out the negative press.
Thanks to Prime Proximity.
However, outsiders were beginning to catch on that these students were running for a reason.
Quick text message.
But why?
There we go. Okay. All good. Thanks the resub adventure creature mumbling plot in the
October
prime
30th,
eco.
1975, a 15-year-old girl named Martha Moxley was out with her friends participating in what they call Mischief Night. This typically involved TPing houses, ding-dong ditching, typical teenager antics. Later that night, Moxley found a liking to a Thomas Skakel, eventually kissing him before the pair decided to venture off. To the other friends in their group, seeing Moxley fall over the Skakel's backyard fence with Thomas was the very last time that they would ever see her alive. The next morning, the Moxley family awakens as usual. They go about their morning routine, however notice that Martha is missing. Upon searching the house for her, they notice a body lying by the tree out in the backyard.
And
They
don't really
approach
have
it
one stoner boner.
and discover a grim scene. Martha is lying, lifeless with her pants down. Her body appears to have been visibly beaten, and a few feet away from the body, broken remnants of a 6-iron golf club.
Holy
This
shit.
club was eventually traced back to the Skakel family. Autopsy reports claimed that she was bludgeoned and stabbed to death, all by that 6-iron. And since Thomas Skakel was the last person she was spotted with that night, he was the prime suspect in her murder. Due to a lack of sufficient evidence, however, he, among the other suspects, were eventually absolved.
What?
And as a result, the Moxley case, frustratingly, went cold. 3 years later. Thomas's 18-year-old brother named Michael Skakel is arrested for drunk driving.
What a great
His
family,
punishment?
all around.
Admission to Elan. While there, Skakel was known to be problematic and outspoken. According to Elan students at the time, he would regularly boast about a girl named Martha and how he sexually assaulted and killed her. One student named Gregory Coleman,
What a weird thing to
recalls this
brag about.
vividly, recounting how Michael had gone on record to state that, "I'm going to get away with murder. I'm a Kennedy." The Kennedy reference was alluding to his relation to Robert F. Kennedy, something that would prove pivotal in launching his eventual trial to the national spotlight. At the time of his confession, though, nobody could do anything about it. Given the overbearing nature of the rules set at school, any student that tried to tell someone about this was quickly reprimanded. It would take an entire 22 years before Skakel's actions would reach the public eye. In January of 2000, he was arrested and charged with the murder of Martha Moxley, and due to his relation to the Kennedys, it was a case that commanded the airwaves. Since Skakel's primary vehicle of bragging about his crimes was Elan, this, by proxy, had also thrust the school into the national spotlight.
Thanks to resub
Dozens of students took the stand, exposing the callousness that occurred there. The humiliation, the general meetings, the beatings, the ring, the deaths, all of it was brought into the public eye. Realizing this, Joe Ritchie did everything he possibly could to keep discussion about his operation to a minimum.
He looks like Neil
He
Breen.
eventually took the stand, downplaying any mention of Elan, touting its high success rate, and doing
Thanks,
everything
Resub.
he
Doink.
possibly could to divert the attention back to Skakel
And hope you like God Slap
and
Creamy.
Skakel only. But this was only marginally effective, as this was in the 2000s. An interconnected era of information catalyzed by a little something called the internet.
That piece of shit, huh?
Michael Skakel was eventually found guilty of the murder and was sentenced to 20 years to life in prison. After serving just 11 years behind bars, he was granted a new trial in 2013, in which he was let go after posting a $1.2 million bond.
Oh, Jesus.
Today, he walks a free man. But back
Exit Tier
then,
1 Sarcastic.
the cat was
and
out of the
resub
bag.
Phil Swift and
The
Stick.
inhumanities committed at the Elan School were documented in one of the most high-profile cases in decades. And because of this, people began talking, theorizing, and investigating, effectively marking the beginning of the end of Joe Ritchie's iron grip on the hundreds of students that were helpless beneath him.
Thanks to the resub Nathan and the Prime Green Gorilla and Tuga sub Sarcastic.
But with his weakening grasp on the media surrounding his operation came a different hurdle that Joe Ritchie would soon have to overcome. In June of 2000, he was diagnosed with lung cancer caused by his well-known addiction to cigarettes. And just 6 months later, on the 29th of January 2001, Joe Ritchie would pass away in Portland, Maine at 54 years old. As a result, his second wife, Sharon Terry, would take over operations at Elan. It was clear, though, that due to the increased publicity among the rising alumni testimonies, the idea of Terry having a lot of PR work on her plate was putting it lightly. Throughout the years, numerous changes would be put in place in response to
Hold on, someone just said something. Skakel is in jail, by the way. His conviction got reinstated in 2016. Thanks to some Monty, geo expert in chasing bubbles. Well, this video is brand new, and he said that he's a free man. Let me see. Let's take a peek. I don't see anything about him going back to jail. Yeah, there's nothing about him going back to jail. Literally nothing. It got reinstated, just exonerated in 2020.
For instance, the ring was eventually forbidden from being used as punishment. And while this was substantially a good thing, the other cruelties would remain. What Sharon Terry was unaware of, though, was that due to the rapid rise in technology, namely the internet, even her reign over Elan would soon meet its demise. When the water settled following the Skakel case, mentions of Elan were made on various forums throughout the next few years. They would get people talking, however it wasn't quite enough for definite action. By 2010 though, something would change. A website that we all know very well would help spearhead one of the most effective exposed stories in the history of the internet.
I want to take a guess. I don't know the story, but I want to guess. Is it Something Awful? Something Awful used to be pretty powerful. No way, is it Reddit? God damn it.
That website was Reddit.
Son of a bitch!
On November 26th, 2010, a man named Jeff W., who went by Gazaz My Hero, would make a post titled, "Even skimming this once will blow your mind. Most probably think it's made up, but you'd be dead wrong." Within it, he explains that he was an Elan student in 1998, before outlining, in detail, the reality of what took place there. They're mostly points that we've already covered and explored in great detail tonight. But back then, these claims were unbelievable. The school was very much still in operation, so some initially had a tough time wrapping their head around the fact that a place like this actually existed. But then came the comments. The other stories from other alumni with their own experiences. Gazaz My Hero's post carried weight. It was real, and these atrocities needed to be
Tier
known.
1 Dewey Nose and 2 gift sub Zuki.
Eventually, this thread would rack up over 2,000 likes and 1.4 thousand comments. While this may not have caused Elan's closure outright, it aggressively reopened old wounds. 2010 was not 2000. The internet user base was exponentially larger than it had been, and resultingly, the effectiveness of this newfound attention caused a massive amount of backlash that the Elan school had never before experienced.
Thanks, 3 sub chimeras.
4 months later. On the 23rd of March 2011, the Elan school announced that it would soon be shutting down. Sharon Terry blamed the call on what they deemed to be libelous remarks made about them online. The school has been the target of harsh and false attacks spread over the internet with the avowed purpose of forcing the school to close. The school, unfortunately, has been unable to survive the damage.
Shucks.
And on the 1st of April 2011, the Elan school would close its doors.
What a great date to close on fucking April Fool's Day.
They blamed it on declining student numbers in hopes of diverting the attention away from the actual cause. But on the outside, everyone knew the real reason. For students, this was unbelievably good news. However, the damage they endured was something that would remain.
Thanks to the Prime Bands and Sutrus and the resub, Wilhelm, Geegan, and
numerous
Cold Dog.
suicides have occurred as a result of attendance at Elan. PTSD with alumni is rampant, and it's clear that the school had done nothing but damage people. A filmmaker and former student named Todd Nilsson, creator of a fantastic Elan documentary named The Last Stop, has gone on record to state that, as a student, he was helped by their unconventional tactics, but he knew the majority of others weren't quite so lucky. Today, hundreds of stories remain online about the cruelty committed at the Elan school, about the facade they upkept for 41 years. Reading through these are eye-opening, and you can find them on nearly every piece of media and documentation that exists about Elan online. To all of you that have shared your stories, that have opened up about the torment you went through, your voice is the reason that Elan ceases to exist today. This video would not exist without you, and I wish I could say that I feel your pain. But I don't.
What's Sharon Terry up to? Let me take a peek. Sharon Terry, what's going on? Wow, since 2011 she has vanished. Holy fuck. Her spirit was trapped in Elan, and when it closed down, she just ceased to exist. Holy fuck. Yeah, I cannot find anything of Sharon Terry after 2011, my god. Well, thanks for the resub. Physics. God damn, that was fucking intense. So I imagine over the course of 41 years, they must have had a lot of students graduate, and I'm really surprised that it took Reddit to be the one to finally shut that shit down from one post. The graduates were brainwashed. That's true. I guess it's hard to really understand that perspective, since I obviously wasn't there for the brainwashing. I'm gonna go fill up my water now. I'll be right back. Recommended actually gave me something that sounded interesting.
Hello? This is Rhodey, aka War Machine. The former is played by actor and Academy Award nominee Terrence Howard. The latter is played by actor and Don Cheadle.
Don Cheadle, the man.
Run.
Also, Terrence Howard's the guy you might remember has been trying his best to convince the world that 1 times 1 equals 2. He tries to completely change math as we know it. That's how I know Terrence Howard.
For the first Iron Man film, but you might not know why.
Didn't he want like a ton of money?
Within these big franchises that consistently gets torn down and torn apart by the media when you realize what's going on underneath. But having the title of Oscar winner on a resume means that they can also charge more for their performances. By the time Iron Man was rolling into production,
so it is a money thing. I'm pretty sure it was just money.
Around $3.5 to $4.5 million for that performance.
Not bad.
This made him one of the highest paid actors in the film.
Pretty solid.
And at that time, he's actually paid over 6 times more than Robert Downey Jr. He only made about $500,000.
Only is the wrong word for that number, I think.
Studio on-set money. When a project like Iron Man is successful enough to create a franchise, it's usually great for everyone involved. The directors and producers...
Except Terrence Howard.
Robert Downey Jr. was rumored to have made $10 million for the second film, a pay increase of about 2,000%.
Not bad.
He was able to, on the other hand, was actually offered a significant decrease in pay from what he was expecting to earn.
I'm jealous.
Next time. Marvel eventually offered only $1 million. It's rumored that Iron Man director Jon Favreau was ultimately unhappy with Terrence Howard's performance.
I do remember hearing that they did not like him. Like he was very rude.
But to make sure that Terrence Howard's future roles would be measured against a larger contract.
Yeah, so it really was a money thing and they just didn't like him in the movie.
Returns in the future on the next film or the
it's
film.
It's not super deep, it doesn't
After
seem.
the dust settled, publicly claimed that he was the one who recommended RDJ for the role of Iron Man, but that he ultimately was happy with the way things turned out.
First phase to be built by 2030. Team Charles Michael Doudna has...
Sounds cool to me.
But is this utopia built in the desert even possible?
the
Yes.
technology to do what he.
Who is this, God? Oh my God. Holy Lord. Where is he?
First person that tried to build utopia.
In fact,
Wow.
Lord wouldn't even be the first.
Man's communicating from heaven. I wishing him the best. Good luck. Oh, it's done?
He's made a statement on the WordPress. He's made a statement on his Patreon. He's decided to let the people know who are financially supporting him what exactly is going on here.
All right. It's ready. Wow. Look at that. So after what, 9 years in development? It's finally ready? I mean, this is probably one of the most troubled developments of all time. Very public meltdowns, almost nothing going right, but we got there, baby. We fucking got there. It's not actually done. These posts make it sound like he thinks it's done. Oh, it's just a separate game mode that he finished. Jesus Christ. Oh. Oh my God. Alright, I see what's happened here. Jesus Christ. What's the point in never finishing the project? Is there any benefit to him? Yandere Simulator is it's old school. This shit was in development for so long. Most of the big YouTubers played it. PewDiePie, Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, they've all played Yandere Sim. It was a massive, massive game when it was like first released as like a demo thing. And then I believe it was put up as a crowdfunding thing that has just never even been close to done, and the developer has very public meltdowns. He like purges his Discord and Hangouts once a week, or at least he used to. It's been a true disaster of a journey. This guy looks like a sex doll. Is there a human being here? Or, like, the quality's so bad I can't even tell. Is this flesh? He can summon up an army of 200 million people, and he's the head of the world's martial arts committee?
Here on my right is Alexander Romanov, who is a grandmaster of an Illuminati group that claims to have started the French, Russian, and American revolutions.
Wow.
As you may know, there has been a battle going on over the future of this planet.
Awfully powerful.
Back in May of 2021, I was exposed to a bizarre conspiracy community that makes flat earthers look reasonable by comparison. Unlike a lot of conspiracy theories, which tend to have a small degree of truth, which is often extrapolated into outright fiction, this conspiracy theory is based on nothing but pure fantasy. Imagine if someone told you they lived out the plot of the movie Total Recall. That they thought they were living a regular life until one day they recovered memories of being a secret agent fighting an evil organization on Mars. Now, what if they also said that they were a space marine who fought insectoid and reptilian extraterrestrials on different planets? And finally, what if they capped it all off by claiming to be G.I. Joe?
I'd say that's a fucking good man.
If you ever encounter someone like this, it's possible that they believe that they are part of the secret space program. The secret space program is a conspiracy theory which has grown in popularity within the past decade. There are YouTube channels, social media groups, and entire conferences dedicated to a shared belief that humanity has already traveled to the far reaches of space, and that a shadowy world government has been hiding this truth from the masses. A lot of the people who buy into this theory also believe that they were abducted and forced to serve in the secret space program against their will. This isn't a LARP, or an ARG, or a giant sci-fi influenced role-playing game. No. These people genuinely believe this stuff, and their community is getting bigger by the day. I wouldn't be surprised if in a few years, this overtakes Flat Earth as the most ridiculed conspiracy theory by the general population. And that's because it's way, way crazier. I was put onto this by a friend of mine who goes by the handle Vapes for Christ. Here's us talking about it on a Discord call.
He's a prime Kevin.
So, I was listening to this podcast called The Unexplained of Howard Hughes. It's basically like the UK's equivalent to Coast to Coast. It's on the radio as well. And they just had this one guy in there I saw. His name was Captain Randy Kramer. He was saying stuff like he was actually a genetically enhanced super soldier made in a lab in the late 1960s for a secret space program where he'd be battling aliens on Mars for the Mars Defense Force. And the more I looked into this, he's not alone. There's a whole community of people that claim they've also been part of this program.
Randy lived on the planet Mars for 17 years, where he said there were approximately 6 to 7 million people living, including various CT races.
So I was genetically engineered from the ground up.
What a hero.
Tinkered with some extraterrestrial hybridized DNA to, be smarter, faster, stronger for soldiering abilities, where I spent a little over 17 years in the MDF, which is the Mars Defense Force. I was in the infantry there on the ground, mostly scuffling with indigenous reptoids and indigenous insectoids territorially, mostly really to test military equipment.
This guy's done it all.
There are a lot of interesting characters in the SSP/Super Soldier world, such as Dwight Eisenhower's great-granddaughter, Laura Magdalene Eisenhower.
What?
James Casbolt, a self-proclaimed former MI6 agent who's now in prison for trying to blackmail 2 million euros out of his Super Center heiress ex-wife, Haley Major. And Mark
Jesus
Richards,
Christ.
who's also in prison, not for blackmail this time, but instead for robbery and murder in the mid-1980s. He was also bizarrely plotting a paramilitary takeover of his county in order to turn it into King Arthur's court with himself as a king. Yeah, that's a thing.
This is amazing.
Within the community, these people are known as whistleblowers. Individuals who risk their lives to disclose sensitive information about their time in the secret space program. Initially, I was struck by how these so-called whistleblowers spoke with such earnestness while claiming to have lived out grand stories akin to Z-grade science fiction. And more strikingly was how many people seemed to believe them.
There is a secret space program which is funded by our taxes. We pay for our own enslavement. There are factions in space. They have anti-gravity propulsion system. Anything you can think of, time travel, manipulating consciousness, it's all real.
Thanks, Reese, a bunch.
When I first started looking to this community, I considered making a video about it, but I scrapped the idea fairly quickly. At the time, my idea was to make a video simply exploring the whistleblowers and the conspiracy theory.
Well, why not
but
become
I decided
one?
against it, as I was more in the mood to work on something more ambitious and grand. So I set it aside and worked on a handful of other projects instead. However, there was a part of me that kept thinking about it. I found myself watching SSP videos during my free time, reading articles and browsing their community's forums. Eventually, it became my favorite pastime, and it was something that I was doing every single day. And what really intrigued me about it was it just kept getting crazier and crazier. And that's how I found my new favorite YouTube channel, Super Soldier Talk, which is run by a guy named James Rink. He's been doing it for 13 years, and he's been a hardcore believer of it for even longer than that. I found myself really drawn to James, especially his demeanor. I don't mean to ridicule the guy, but I genuinely just find him amusing.
So I am a super soldier. I've been involved in the secret space program for at least 330 years. I say that
he looks great
with
for 330.
a lot of hesitation because some of these projects, they have time compression zones where you're outside of time and the time is going by a little bit slower than the rest of reality.
Exit Prime.
They use re-aging tech, different cloning bodies. There's different techniques on how they can re-age us and reuse us. I spent at least 75 years on Mars.
Anyway, James runs the most popular YouTube channel in the community. It consists of interviews he conducts with secret space program experiencers from around the world. The guests on James' show all claim to be victims of the secret space program. The roles that they were assigned to in the secret space program vary. Some are shapeshifters.
So today we have David Lotherington, who is an Akashic reader, healer, and telepath. And he also remembers being in a facility that trained his shapeshifting abilities, in which I was also a participant of. He recalls experiences
still
as a
shapeshift?
super soldier in Kruger and has done training missions with zombies and vampires.
Well, there was one kid.
There were zombies and vampires on Mars?
There was another a female that
surely we could
turned
cure
into an eagle,
zombieism,
and that was used for surveillance. I myself was a blue wolf. There was another being that turned into a cat.
Others are cyborgs and off-world medics.
Oh, I mean, I started
sweet. Thanks to the bits,
working
Liana.
on Mars.
And have a good
I was
night,
looking
Millie.
for bugs, they call them.
Thanks,
Mostly
Reese.
mantises. Mantises were really good at genetics, and they wanted like information from them and stuff like that.
Oh, not
Genetic
Bean.
information.
Ban, come on.
And there's even She-Hulks.
Both dolphins and hulks, we can go through walls, go through portals. We can echolocate, but some people call it bilocation.
I quickly realized that most of the people James interviews don't actually have any celebrity status within the secret space program community. They're nothing like Corey Good, who sells out venues for his talks. Instead, they are just average believers in the SSP conspiracy who somehow got connected with James and were subsequently invited onto his show. Upon realizing this, I started to formulate a plan. What if I made up a story about being in the secret space program?
Well, that's all they
James'
do.
show and share it with his community.
That's easy.
And that's how I finally found an angle that compelled me enough to make a video about this topic. And the angle was to become a secret space program whistleblower myself.
Let's rock.
You don't join the SSP, swine.
So if my goal still sounds too vague to you, I set up a criteria for how I was going to accomplish it. A set of rules, if you will. 1. Make up a compelling story about my time in the secret space program, which has to follow the established lore of the conspiracy. 2. Get onto a major platform.
Well, just say you're part of the Blue Wolf
and share my experience. I developed this criteria after thinking what's required to become an SSP whistleblower. Obviously, evidence of being in the secret space program isn't necessary at all. All that's needed is a story which follows the lore, and, after that, I just have to appear on a major platform and share it. I decided that I would aim to appear on James's channel.
70K
it's the most popular YouTube channel in the community, and it's even had the illustrious Captain Randy Kramer on it twice. Unlike Captain Randy Kramer, or Corey Good, I was unlikely to get my own show on Gaia.com, so I settled for a more manageable, but still difficult task. To increase the difficulty, I chose not to use my own YouTube channel as a way to influence my way onto the show. Therefore, I needed to find a way to ingratiate myself with James, and hope that he decided to invite me on as a guest himself. Before I did that, I needed to create a compelling story. In order to craft my narrative, I began to study the plethora of interviews available on Jay's channel, as well as the SSP lore extensively.
Okay, open up your textbooks, It's time for me to start explaining the lore behind the secret space program. Now, I'm going to try and do this as fast as possible.
Exit Tier 1 C96C.
Okay, so it started right before World War II, when the Nazis were interested in mysticism.
Before World War II, the Nazis, who were interested in mysticism and alternative views, searched the planet for fantastical powers. They found Maria Orsak, a medium and leader of the Vril Society, who channeled Nordic and Draco reptilians who offered the Nazis the schematics behind anti-gravity technology and UFOs. The Draco reptilians told the Nazis about ancient alien technology hidden in Antarctica, and in 1938, the Nazis traveled there. With this newfound tech, the Nazis created the Die Glocke, aka the Bell, which was capable of space and time travel. In 1942, the Nazis were already in space. There they built a base on the dark side of the moon. And by 1950, the Nazis were on Mars. Despite having access to this advanced alien tech, the Germans still lost World War II because apparently the Germans who possessed the technology did not agree with Hitler's regime, so there was a split.
The new Schwabenlanders didn't want to support Hitler at the end of the war because they considered him.
Let me catch up on the lore myself here at base 211. The new Schwabenlanders. Was that like a real division in the Nazi Germany, or is that just what the secret space program made up? The new Schwabenlanders. No evidence. Bro, we don't use the E word when we're talking about the secret space program. We just feel it. They have unlocked memories, dumbass. Evidence. Fuck. What are you? Huh? Some kind of science believer? Idiot.
Insane.
This guy has lived for 330 years on Mars. Okay, you don't understand.
The Nazis capable of space and time travel became the Fourth Reich.
You don't have the lived experience.
Antarctica and space while refusing to provide any support to the Third Reich Nazis during the war. Anyway, the evil globalists, i.e. the Cabal and the Illuminati or something, engaged in a Cold War against the Space Germans. Meanwhile, the Space Germans were also fighting the Draco reptilians and various alien life forms in space. The Antarctic/Space Germans would be responsible for abducting people to serve in joint black projects between themselves, the Cabal, aliens, and pretty much anybody with any power at all. This was the beginning of the secret space program. By the 1960s, the Space Germans created Notwaffen, aka Dark Fleet, and began an aggressive expansion out into the solar system, setting up
So is the entire secret space program Nazis?
The Kuiper Belts, and etc. Capable of time travel, the Space Germans also traveled back in time to settle on planets around the galaxy.
Now there's 3 billion people, humans that live off-world under various German SSP groups protected by the Notwaffen, translated...
Oh my god, so they're Nazis.
People who were forced into the...
Oh, what? In their own lore, they made themselves Nazis? Why? So they're part of the new Schwabenlanders? Oh man, they're everywhere in the galaxy. Oh, they could even travel back 400 years in time. So they're protected by the Notwaffen. Okay. Interesting. Alright, give me 1 second. I'm gonna go say goodnight to Tiana. And then maybe interrogate her to see if she's part of the secret space program and she's lying to me. I'm back. These are tier 1 devil rides in the resub Axel.
Now there's 3 billion people, humans that live off-world under various German SSP groups protected by the Notwaffen, translated meaning Dark Fleet.
People who are forced into the secret space program are called MILABs, aka military abductees. These people are chosen because they are special and often because they are psychically
Well, of course
gifted in
they're
some way.
special.
Around 30% of MILABs are SSP
Everyone who
officers,
believes in
and
a
70%
conspiracy
of
is
them
special.
Are used as slaves.
Everyone wants to
Individuals
feel
are
unique.
abducted and could be used as just about anything in the SSP. super soldiers, pilots, remote viewers, assassins, scientists, forced laborers, and even slaves. So, there you have it. That's a basic breakdown of the SSP lore. After spending months putting together my very own secret space program whistleblower testimony, I felt like I was ready to share it on James' show. The only problem was that he wasn't replying to any of my emails. But then I found an in. On his website was a page called My Lab Recovery Network, which was a list of people offering services to help recover secret space program related memories. At the top of the list was James. And for $200 USD, I could book a guided meditation regression session with him, which is exactly what I did at 6 a.m. on September 1st, 2021. Within 23 minutes, James got back to me with an email which read, "Hi Oki, I'm booked till the first week in October. Can I put you down for Tuesday, October 12 at an afternoon slot or evening time slot, EST zone? Which would you prefer?" By booking a hypnosis session with him, at least I had an in. It didn't mean that I would be invited onto his show, but it was a start. In order to ensure that I can get onto his show, I fine-tuned my story. I knew that my only option was to put on such a performance that it completely knocks him off of his feet. So for the next 41 days, I hunkered down and recited my script while polishing it all into something truly compelling. And finally, the day arrived. At 1 p.m. EST on October 12th, I got the Zoom call invite from James that I was waiting for. Our session lasted for 2 hours and 14 minutes. The results of the session exceeded my expectations.
I would be curious. What is your genetic background? Like what ET groups are you connected with?
Draco reptilian humanoid hybrid, and then I think I also got like Anunnaki.
Do you know who you might have been in a past life?
Have you heard like the Black Samurai Yasuke?
You were a samurai?
Yeah. Dude, I'll show you something. Check this out.
That's pretty dope. And I was a gladiator.
Oh no, that's awesome.
Oh wow.
The goal here, I want us.
You can learn a lot from James.
Let's put a gold shield of light around us. So at this point, we call upon Oki's higher self to overwrite any kind of AI. Begin to relax your forehead and your cheeks, and you can breathe just fine in and out as the relaxation goes down into your legs. As you fly through the clouds, the puffy clouds, you may jump around a little bit. Your higher self already knows where to go, so go ahead when you're ready. Step on through the door. And without putting any kind of conscious thought into it, just imagine what do you think?
Imagine Oki just becomes a real believer.
So let's start with that, and tell me what you see.
I see Kevin Spacey, or his clone.
Paul Serene, he was on the governing council of the ICC. So his clone is Kevin Spacey.
We're in a gymnasium.
Wait, what? So wait, is that part of SSP lore? Kevin Spacey is like a figurehead in the secret space program? Oh, okay, so Monarch is responsible for human trafficking, sex, mind control, experiments, and chemtrailing. I knew it. Fucking Kevin Spacey was behind it all, that son of a bitch. Evil bastard thought he got away with it. Didn't expect us to be hot on his trail. Luckily we broke away from Atlantis though, so we cut the connection. Okay. But Kevin Spacey himself is a clone of Paul.
We're in a gymnasium. It's me and at least 100 other. I think they're recruits.
Do you see anyone else there that
Prime
you
Scout
recognize?
and the Resub Hamster.
I think I see.
Oh, nice. Thanks for rubber feet.
Mr. Beast.
Today we will be planting 20 million trees.
Okay, so they're probably programming him. But he's the guy that doesn't even give away a bunch of free stuff on the videos.
Yeah.
They must have looked into his future and okay, so whatever trajectory, whatever plans they had for him was all programming stuff.
Anyway, the session was a success. Such a success that I got what I wanted. James invited me onto his show. Then he mentioned that it would be a little while before he could have me on his show because he was going to attend a secret space program conference taking place in early November. Without a second thought, I said that I'd be there.
Do you want to come on my show to share some of your experiences?
Yeah, hell yeah. That'd be awesome.
If you're coming out to Vegas, I could, maybe give you 45 minutes
So a few days later, I traveled to Las Vegas and landed at around 12 p.m. after a 4-hour plane ride.
Man, he went all in for this video.
I'm here.
Traveled fucking 5,000 miles for a 45-minute interview.
Disclosure, 5D events, specifically to meet some super soldiers. People who are part of this,
He's a tier 1
they're part of the
juggalo.
secret space program. This has been months in the making. Okay, this is gonna be fun, dude. I am so excited for this. Are you ready, Night Talks?
I'm as ready as I am gonna be, man. This is gonna be an exercise in patience for me.
No, this is gonna be an eye-opening experience for everyone. We're all gonna leave here thinking we're super soldiers from space.
The golden nugget.
Right here.
Nugget, here we are.
Hell yeah.
I guess we're gonna go learn how to become stronger through genetics.
And experience this up on the starship.
Is he the only one here?
I spoke with the commander, the Arcturian commander, who I am connected to.
That's how we connect? Okay, hey. No, I understand it now.
They flew us to a
now I see
separate
it.
base. We left this base and we went to a separate one on the moon. And it was U.S. military personnel. And the next morning they gave us a set of clothes to wear and put us on a larger craft and flew us to Mars. Flew out, we got away from the moon and
Exit Prime Wabajack
jumped to Mars.
The bits
Yes,
SSJ.
I was talking about this concert, this Travis Scott concert, where 800 people were injected with these drone mosquitoes. You know, you see, that, wow, they can go around.
So that's
and
what
inject
happened.
people.
Jesus Christ. It is so hard to believe that people like that exist, man. Not only exist, but have other people that believe them. Like, they have influence over other people. That's fucking wild. Think about that for a second. I've said this a million times. No matter how stupid you are or how outrageous your beliefs, you will always have an audience thanks to the internet. You will always find people that agree with you, support you, worship you, or just at the very least provide camaraderie in a positive echo chamber because you are connected to everyone at all times through Twitter and Facebook. So that guy who thinks at the Travis Scott concert 800 people were injected with, what was it, some super space mosquitoes or whatever, he's got 100 other people in his Facebook group that all think the same thing. Wild.
The conference was a pretty fun but disorganized event. The two workshops we were really looking forward to attending were How to Become a Jedi Warrior and Quantum Spoon Bending, Bring Your Own Spoon.
Tomorrow's gonna be a fun day because tomorrow we get to go to How to Become a Jedi Warrior.
I'm excited about that one.
That should be that should be productive.
Unfortunately, when we showed up to the How to Become a Jedi Warrior workshop, no one was there, not even the speaker, so it was canceled.
We just got in here, we have no idea.
Oh man, what the fuck? Well, they're too busy having sex, I bet.
Just gave up.
On Mars.
So the best part tomorrow is we are gonna go to Quantum Spoon Bending, parentheses, Bring Your Own Spoons, close parentheses.
And the quantum spoon bending lesson was underwhelming since, instead of learning how to bend a spoon with our minds, we were instructed to physically do it with both hands.
What the fuck? It's real! Oh my god.
But the conference was secondary to my ultimate goal, which was to meet James so he can interview me for his channel. It was during a workshop called My Life in the Secret Space Program that I finally got to meet him. Honestly, I felt sort of starstruck. I asked him to sign my copy of his book, and we talked for a bit before the workshop started. While walking around the venue, I noticed that James had sent me a text inviting me to his hotel room for an interview. Suddenly, a wave of anticipation and euphoria washed over me. This was it. Finally, after several months...
He ends up getting like Harvey Weinsteined by James.
I ran back to the workshop room, found Night Docs, and alerted him of the new development. We scrambled to get all of his equipment ready to film the interview and to get to Jay's hotel room as soon as possible.
Night Docs, go with him. Keep him safe.
Therefore, being late
oh
was
my
not
god.
enough. Night Docs, who was behind me, was still trying to
The
attach
super
his
soldier's
camera to a
unpredictable.
gimbal, which would not fit. Watching the minutes go by was excruciating. Eventually, I told him to leave the camera unattached from the gimbal, and we raced towards the elevator, getting lost a couple times along the way. After an elevator ride that felt way longer than it should have, we rushed towards James' hotel room before realizing that we walked in the wrong direction once again. Then we beelined it in the
No,
opposite
James is gonna
direction,
leave!
And finally, found James' room. I knocked. The time had finally come.
Oh! James.
James had his camera equipment set up in the corner of the hotel room. He instructed me to take a seat in front of his camera and microphone. I asked him if it was okay if Night Docs filmed the interview, and he said it was fine. After a brief preliminary discussion, James started recording and we were underway. By then, any nervous anticipation I felt leading up to this face-to-face sit-down had completely dissipated.
Yeah, you just get to come in here
knowing
and
that I was more than
make some
to
shit
speak
up.
about my time in the Secret
Have some
Space
fun.
program in a convincing manner. The interview lasted 1 hour, and here's what happened.
Okay, so my name is Oki. So it started from before I was even born, where they genetically enhanced my DNA. And by the time I was 6, I was put into a special program run by Monarch. I was under direct tutelage of Paul Serene, Kevin Spacey's clone. There was 12 children.
Oh my god. Luckily, James didn't pick up on that. He just got the lore wrong. Paul Serene is not the clone of Kevin Spacey, Oki. Kevin Spacey is the clone of Paul Serene. Oh my god, the whole operation just went tits up. There's no way James didn't just... Oh my god, there's no way James didn't pick up on that. Oh my god. He blew it. He fucking blew it. SSP's on his tail now.
Who were trained
He's hunted.
directly
He's a
under
hunted
him,
man.
including myself and the YouTuber Mr. Beast.
So, can you comment about what you, or maybe Mr. Beast, or maybe the people in your group were all being groomed for?
We were pretty much put in a top elite special program. They pretty much utilized every method they could to use MK Ultra programming and to create killing machines. And I was able to just look at a photo of a target and make their head explode. Because I mean, there was billions of dollars spent on each and every single one of us. I particularly liked
That sounds
massage. I had a form of EMP that I could take out there.
He's a Reddit assassin.
In my past life, I was
On Mars.
Yasuke, the Black Samurai.
Did any of your clones ever get changed into a zombie?
I had a clone.
I like how that's one of James' core questions. Have any of your clones been changed into a zombie? James makes it sound like he doesn't even know what the fuck a zombie is. He makes it sound like it's a state of mind. The clones would have to die first, James, and then Kevin Spacey and Paul Serene would have to do a fusion dance in order to bring out the proper necromancy on Mars at the Knockwaffen to revive them, for them to be zombies, James. Jesus Christ. He's getting lost in his own sauce. He's not even following his own rules in the secret space program.
That clone actually was fighting zombies and vampires. And there was also Yetis that they were fighting.
What about vampires? Do you recall any scenarios fighting vampires?
He just said that, James.
This particular thing.
He's killed 1,000 of them with his bare hands.
Is that they can't help but count. From what I remember, most clearly is
He
that
wanted
I
that
do
so
have
bad.
many different clones of myself with parts of my consciousness uploaded into those clones. I was taken, I was cloned, and my clones with my consciousness inside of them were used pretty much as like kamikaze pilots.
Typically, at least what I heard, black people require a different protocol of brainwashing.
Time flew by, and I was struck by the effortlessness
the super soldier is many things, but a coward he is not. He will ask the hard-hitting questions. He will go where no other space program super soldiers will.
Story which I crafted. I spoke for 1 hour.
He actually fucking said
my
that.
Story so coherently that I realized that if I was to continue to pursue a career as an influencer in the SSP community, I'd be able to become a prominent whistleblower. I could do workshops, sell books, charge for hypnosis sessions, be invited onto shows, and attend conferences as a speaker, just like the top members of the community. I would be able to mold a career out of it, which likely could be far more profitable than spending months making YouTube documentaries and releasing them only a few times a year. When I first became interested in the community and its major players, I wondered how these people could regurgitate their own bullshit with such ease, as if their lies didn't affect them at all. Were they deluded, or were they capitalizing on feeding lies
to
real
a memories.
Prone audience? And when I was being interviewed by James, I finally understood it. What you believe becomes your own reality, no matter how ridiculous it is. Spewing the nonsense story I crafted was like an out-of-body experience. I was playing a role, and even though I created the role, while I was performing it, it was like a switch in my brain went off and everything I said felt real.
That's 100% true. That's how it works.
Speak matter-of-factly about
That's why these communities exist.
Spacey's clone along with Mr. Beast. I never broke character. I never felt like laughing or winking at the camera. I spoke stone-faced with deadly seriousness the whole time. It was so easy to detach myself from the situation and make it feel real. Overall, this whole journey has been a fascinating
big shooter and slider.
I now feel as though many of the questions I had about charlatans, grifters, con men, and even cult leaders, it's starting to make more sense. By stepping into their shoes, I feel like I gained insight into how they operate and what makes them tick. Like I said, if I wanted to, I could have continued to masquerade as a secret space program whistleblower and turn my lies into something truly profitable. Of course,
you should have.
I have no interest in doing so.
He still could. It's not like they're gonna watch this video. They just exist on their own little pocket of the internet.
They enhanced my DNA, and they took the DNA from my father and they put it in my mother, and they were keeping tabs on me. By the time I was 6, I was put into a special program run by Monarch. The leader of Monarch, Paul Serene, also known as Kevin Spacey's clone.
So on December 28th, 2021, James finally uploaded the interview we did in Las Vegas onto his YouTube channel. As I record this, the video is sitting around 13,000 views. The response from his community has been overwhelmingly positive. People left comments that indicate that they completely believed me. A couple people said that I was the best whistleblower testimony that they've heard on James's channel so far. And one person even said that they cried the whole way through the video. So that's that.
Oh my god. Hold on, I want to read that. I'm so sorry you had to do that. Thank you for your bravery. Oh man. God, like, to a certain extent, I feel bad for them. Not in particular the secret space program, like them too, but in general, people that truly believe these things, like wholeheartedly separate themselves from reality to exist in this new made-up world. It is sad to a certain level, but they're their own worst enemy in that case. They at any point can just choose not to think that the Nazis created a secret space program that's been in the galaxy habitat, or what the fuck, now I'm lost. What was it? The Nazis split off from the world in order to exist in Mars, and they took over Cedarus, Uranus, Siblius for 400 years and started abducting people here for more fuck, forgot a lot of it now. It's been so much lore. Either way, you could leave that world where the Nazis control space and just go back to reality.
Through the video. So that's that. I made up a story and officially got it to James's channel. I can now officially call myself a secret space program whistleblower, an elite among elites, a space samurai, MK Ultra victim who was trained by Kevin Spacey's clone to become a killing machine. If you want to watch the full interview I had with Jay, as well as our hypnosis session, please subscribe to my Patreon. Otherwise, follow me on social media. I have Twitter, which I'm the most active on.
God, this was so good.
And a subreddit. All links can be found in the description box below. And as always, until next time. That's all you need to know now.
That was so fucking good. Yeah, apparently this got deleted, which I absolutely imagined it would. He'd have to. And he'll probably address this as well. At some point. Goddamn shame. They loved Oki. Thanks to the bits Rogue and the Prime Keith. God, that was amazing. This is criminally underrated for the work that went into this. Dude flew out from Canada to Las Vegas to a secret space program meeting in order to have an interview with the #1 figure in secret space program super soldier lore. The 330-year-old ass-beating, ass-eating super Goliath James. Like that is what it's all about, baby. Thanks for the 5 gift subs, Night Docs. I appreciate that. And the tier 1, thank you for that. And great work. Appreciate the generosity. I want to look more into this group on my own time now. The secret space program. I wonder how big they are. I wonder if I can find any numbers. They're definitely not that big. They don't even pop up when you look at secret space program on Google. Usually you can type in any conspiracy group and immediately find something about them. I'm actually going to have to type in Kevin Spacey, maybe. This will be my gateway. Nope. I just got movies. And then I got Oki's video. And then Kevin Spacey's sexual assault. Thank you for the 10 gift subs again, Lawborg. Appreciate the generosity. James addresses it on his website. Let's see. Okay. Well, that didn't work at all. I want to read this. Yeah, he just addressed this yesterday. YouTuber Oki Day lies about being in the SSP. He came to me for help, had a regression, but lied and made up a huge story. Yeah, James, what do you think everyone in the SSP community does? It's just fun little fanfic without the porn. How do I read his post? Does it not work? Do I have to be in the SSP? I have to go through a hypnosis regression therapy session with James in order to unlock my mind to read it? Thank you. That time it worked. I didn't get the 404. Well, that wasn't very insightful. Thanks to resub Story Eater and Saki and the gift sub Mouse Bomb. No, we're not doing like Cult Night or anything. I can't read it. He's basically just saying he doesn't have permission to share the... Oh yeah, I see you can't read that at all on stream, sorry. He's just saying you didn't have permission to post the interview or the hypnosis session. That's it. Though he does say we don't know if you're lying or not. So please stop lying to us. That's kind of sad. Yeah. Alright, that was fucking interesting. I love shit like that. I absolutely love it. And you know what I like most about it? It's harmless. They're not hurting anyone by believing that they're Mars soldier veterans who have been biologically enhanced by hybridization with reptilians, vampires, and space zombies. Them thinking that and sharing their creative writing pieces with one another, that doesn't hurt anyone. It's just a bunch of dudes and some ladies occasionally talking about space, sex, and war and drugs or whatever. Like, that's great. Harmless conspiracy. I love it. Love it. Have you seen the crazy story behind Low Tier God? Yeah, of course, I know all the LTG stuff. They do identify as space Nazis, though. Yeah, like I said, it's a little weird that they chose the Nazis to be the ones that they are a part of. That's concerning. I don't really know why they do that, but like excluding the whole Nazi angle of the secret space program lore, it's harmless. They made the plot for the next Wolfenstein game. Yeah, kinda. Thanks for give sub CJ and the give sub Buffalo. Hey Buffalo. Someone recommended that before Blue Soul. I'm not gonna watch it tonight though. I'm actually getting tired. I think I'm just gonna call it a night. We're not gonna find something as interesting as that for the rest of the stream, so I'm just gonna go to bed. I'm getting tired anyway. Thanks everyone for tuning in. To everyone who donated, big thank you. New subs, welcome aboard. Sub means a lot to me, so thank you for subbing. I appreciate the generosity. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your evening and a happy new year. I'll throw you to... Who haven't I thrown you to in a while? Oh, here, I'll throw you to Edgar. He doesn't stream that much. So I'll toss you over to him. Thanks again, everyone. Have a great night. See you tomorrow. Thanks to the resub, B-Town and Tier 1 Tristan. I've always wanted to learn how to be a shaman.
Hi, this is Anna Stevens with
Hey,
Flower
Anna.
Path School of Shamanism, and today I'm going to show you how to smudge someone. This is an ally. So before I smudge something, I have to talk to my ally and ask it what I want it to do, or tell it what I want it to do.
Sounds rational.
And so I just do that by
I just have to talk to this fossilized pile of dog shit.
which is first
Hey,
gratitude.
wanna help me smudge?
You know, powerful. You're such a beautiful plant. You
Mhm.
grow
What else?
along the coastline, and you come with all that
Yeah.
beautiful
Say slower, say
sea,
slower.
ocean energy.
Slower.
And you're so good at cleaning energy.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much for your service.
It's
in
no
this
problem.
way.
It's no
And
problem.
today, I'm asking you to clean out the energy of this person.
Nope. Declined.
So now, my
Hey, Bill Nye. Jesus, you were just talking to him and now you're cremating him. Jesus. I see. You lured him to a false sense of security and now you've incinerated him.
and it'll go out on its own when it's ready. And you
God
see
damn.
the smoke coming up, and so I'm going to use every part of them: their head,
Man, this guy looks
their
aggressive.
heart, through the back and
My
the
energy's
front,
dirty. I need to be
all the way
smudged.
down their body.
I'm not fucking happy about it. Can you hurry this shit up?
Like so. And that's pretty much it.
Well, that was interesting. What else can I learn about being a shaman?
So they performed many, many functions at once, and it's highly probable, it's my belief anyway, that the human race would not have survived without the early shamans among the human race.
That's an awfully large
That
statement.
They were very good at. So this is a very, very brief little introduction.
Okay, well, that was useless. I'm just going to assume shamanism is like everything else in the spiritual science world. Just there to make a little bit of extra cash on the side.
And I'm here to talk to you today about how to use tobacco in a good way.
No such thing.
How to want them to do.
Why do you keep saying these plants are allies?
So
Well, it's not even a
take
plant.
A pinch of tobacco like this, and I might say a little prayer, something like, "Oh, tobacco, thank you so much for your service. You've been so wonderful."
Well, of course, yeah, you have to be nice to it. Oh, tobacco.
You're so powerful.
I'd like a new bicycle for Christmas this year, if you don't mind. I can't tell if this is a meme or not. Watch Aaron Doughty on YouTube stop brainwashing people into a false sense of spirituality when you probably never truly looked into it. What? How to use a rattle to disperse negative energy. Yeah, I knew that though. Babies play with rattles for that very reason. They know what we forget.
Of my how-to series on how to use a rattle. So we talked
Imagine
about
having to be told how to use a rattle when it's something babies use by pure instinct.
What rattles are and how to. This rattle has a picture of an owl. So owl is a particular ally that can help energetically.
Do we need to talk to the owl?
To do with the rattle, you are instructed to help me shake that energy loose. Then
well, don't give it a
you can
command.
Do a general
Ask it.
shakedown of yourself,
hey, rattle, would you help?
Or you can go to a particular.
I can see the relief.
So you can also use your
Imagine how stupid I'd feel if she rattled it, and then like an actual smoke demon just flies out of her. Just works like a charm.
Do this, you can spot.
No, just do a full cleanse.
Say I feel a heaviness in
just
my
exercise that whole negative energy demon.
And rattle, 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 shake it loose, shake it loose, shake it loose. And or if you have a
this seems pretty easy. I could probably do that one right now. I don't even need like proper training or clearance. How to greet the sun. Well, someone's got to do it.
So I'm going to talk about one of them. I'm going to talk about the Toltec way. First of all, it's very important.
That's a classic.
When I take a Qigong stance, which is my knees are slightly bent.
Wait.
So I can look down and I can still see my toes. And my hands are in the gunslinger position. Which
Jesus,
is
don't shoot the sun, Christ.
Hanging at my sides.
It was here to help.
And they move outward and upward, like wings unfolding. Meanwhile, my pelvis is moving forward slightly. My chest is opening.
Do I have to follow this technique to say thank you?
Slightly back, right into the sun, connected to your heart with a long string. And so now your heart is
God, that's adorable. That was nice. I'm sure the sun appreciates that. Most people just take the sun for granted. It's nice that someone like him could at least thank it on her behalf.
Miss Ramsey, may I have your autograph, please?
This is terrible. This is bad. 20 episodes in season 2 of 7th Street Theater.
Okay, which one do you think Jesus would take?
Ooh, that's a good question.
The narrow?
Yeah.
The narrow.
Jesus didn't like that non-narrow path. Oh, yeah.
Let's go.
Oh, yeah. Now we're in it. Now we're in it. That was the whole scene?
Guys, that routine's gonna work well.
You guys are really good. Did a good job.
What did they do?
Good job, Travis. You too, Jamie.
What the fuck? Wait, what did they do?
Hey, Gates, can I ask you something?
Sure.
Why didn't you applaud? I mean, you liked the routine, didn't you?
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
But you didn't applaud.
Oh, well, shut the fuck up. What do you mean?
What do you mean?
Well, in fact, I've never seen you clap for anything.
I said good job. Did you not hear me say good job?
I heard you. Loud and clear.
I think it's fine. You don't need to clap.
I say good job. I was just wondering why you didn't clap.
Yeah, I've wondered too, Gates.
What the fuck? It's just he doesn't want to clap.
I really only like to clap for things that are special to me. I mean, not that their routine was good, because it was. I mean, it was very good. All you guys are good.
I'm just saying it sucked.
There's just something inside me that wants to save the applause for Jesus.
What?
That's the only way I know how to explain it without sounding like some prideful idiot.
Clapping didn't exist in Jesus' time. If you clapped for Jesus when he came back, he'd start to be afraid.
Yeah,
he'd run and hide, like he's under attack.
I like that.
What's their most... Wow, they are really deep in the 7th Street Theater. Badge of Faith. Wait, what the fuck is this? It's about a Christian assassin? What do you mean you're not reading the Bible? I'll show you. Peace Officer Brian Lawrence. What? What the fuck is this? What the fuck is happening? What does this have to do with... I thought this was gonna be like a James Bond thing. Amazing Love. The Story of Hosea. Who makes these movies? And why? None of these are really jumping out at me. Let's see what the ACA is up to. Customers say obnoxious removalists destroyed their furniture. I'll give it a try.
Don't be fooled by the innocent sounding name. That's the warning from some customers of Peter Rabbit Removals, who say all that Peter delivered were damaged goods and broken promises. So
Nice.
we tracked him down.
Thanks, Peter.
To get some answers.
He's an extremely obnoxious, arrogant person, and he
seems sweet.
That he is a male to stand over women.
Vanessa
What?
Saab and her two daughters, Olivia and Maddie, needed to move house late last year.
This is an aggressive
Jumped
shot.
online and
Are they threatening Peter?
Rabbit Removals and its owner, Peter Warren.
Residents resort to sticky tape to save sinking home. I don't know how reliable that technique is.
Now the Australians fighting to save their sinking homes. Many have already forked out
Thanks
thousands
for
on
Prime
repairs
Sleazy.
for an issue
Can't
they
click links.
say council should pay for.
Uh-oh, that's another crime.
Claims he saw the golden glint of a mobile phone from within Michelle's car.
What?
But the mother of one says that could have been her jewellery.
That part was glistening in the sun. It was a sunny day.
Michelle was slapped with a fine of almost $500.
I would be so fucking
But
pissed.
later that day, she managed to get a copy of her receipt from the service station. It shows the ice cream was bought at 4:34 p.m.
What the fuck?
The fine was written up just
$500 fine for ice
and
cream.
Michelle says this should...
Headquartered in Minneapolis, SuperValue is an American grocery giant that runs 2,000
Never heard of
stores
it.
across the country. But even they aren't immune to cyber thievery. It was a scammer who had just made off with $10 million. It's good to know that if you're a lazy scammer, then a couple of well-placed emails can make you
Holy shit. Yes, can I just have all of your money?
In August
Sure.
2016, from the legitimate adverts that appear on these pages, they were able to defraud major brands out of $5 million every day. Whitetop said that $7 billion a year of advertising is
What?
fraudulent traffic. Number 4.
$7 billion a year to just random fucking advertisements that they don't even check.
Hi guys, if you found
This missed one. I remember a couple years ago, there was a scam that I think was run by only two guys. They were scamming, I think it was banks. And all they did was send an email, like, pretending to be a middleman for their transfers, and all they would do is take the money, and that was it. And they got away with it for, like, 5 years. I need to remember that whole fucking story. They made, like, 10 or 15 million dollars off of it, and to my knowledge, they're still not in jail. The Lithuanian man who duped Google and Facebook into transferring over $100 million into accounts he controlled pled guilty to wire fraud. So he literally just sent random invoices, huh? That is totally Google and Facebook's fault, though. Of all this, I'm on your side, bro. Fuck them. Goddamn idiots. So that would really work, huh? You just set up some kind of shell company and then send an invoice to a big guy? All you would need is the information of that department. You just toss an invoice in there and I guess they just fucking send it. This guy absolutely earned it. What he should have done is just tap out at 20 mil and they would have never investigated. 100 mil may have just been flying a little too close to the sun. Have I heard of Fan of Vacuums 2? No. I'm very familiar with the vacuum enthusiast community though. Random portable fans? That's not vacuums. What the fuck is this? Bissell Power Force Helix. Look at that, baby. Whoa. Whoa. Never loses suction. That's the Bissell for you. She's a cruel mistress. Even when you're done, she won't stop. I can see why this is most popular model. Yeah, give her a good tour. Take her around the block for me. There it is. Got a whole audience there. God damn. Just listen to that suction right there. You can literally hear that it's got a good grip on the carpet. That's the power of the Bissell. They're known to rip the carpet right off your fucking foundation. She's showing off. Yeah, she is. Just, cleaning with ease. This naughty little girl. That's the 1240 watts for, or what are U's? I'm unfamiliar with this unit of measurement. What is a U? Is that to measure suction? I don't think it stands for units. I'm sure it means something. I don't think it's 12,040 units. I'm sure it's some kind of power measurement. Really? Not a single person in the chat knows what the U's for? Umagas. Fucking dumbest chat of all time. Yeah, I'm sure it stands for 1240 Wumbos. I'll just look it up myself. Oh, is that just the name of the model? It's the 1240U? It's not an actual unit? Oh, that might be what it is. Oh, okay, that's what it is. That makes sense. And it stands for upright. Okay, well, we've cracked that code. What else we got in here? What the fuck? Does he not have other vacuums? Or did people just really love the Bissell? Like, how everything is Bissell! Holy shit! I've never even heard of this brand before. Oh, here we go. Here's a vintage Eureka from the 1940s, I think. Just a giant stack of bricks. Oof. Oof. I don't care if it's a deep shag. I mean, that's a terrible model. Oh, is it diesel powered? What is that noise? God, that'd wake the entire neighborhood up. I'd get a homeowners association complaint. Oh, look at this fat ass on her, too. This isn't even a bagless model. What a disgusting piece of shit. Should absolutely be ashamed to be cleaning your carpets with this. It's like watching a dump truck go over the carpet. Ooh, a vintage Hoover convertible. You riding with the top down? Another extremely noisy one, but that's okay. I want to see it in convertible mode. Take her top off for me. It's not even a convertible. Oh yeah. Whoa! Whoa! Nice. Yay. I know I've been talking a lot of shit about this model, but she does have some fucking honkers on her. Nah, she's packing some milk in there. I'll give her that. What is this thing? The 1978 Kirby Classic. Thing's just like a spaceship. Wow. God, I can immediately tell she's very old. Damn, that is a wacky design. That's like an F-Zero GX racer. Looks like something out of the Cars universe. This bad boy will take no prisoners. Probably got like a ton of moving parts in there. Gears and shit. Oh man, this is what the dirt sees? Oh god, I feel bad for the dirt now. That's terrifying. That thing's an actual kaiju of vacuums. Garage door. Wait, is this a community as well? Vintage garage door openers? This is a new one. Oh yeah. From Sears. Nothing says worst possible quality quite like the Sears stamp. I'm surprised they didn't try stocking PS5s and Xbox Series X's just to try and get any kind of business happening at Sears. That would have been like their only move to make any amount of money over the next 5 years. Why is it so sad? Because it came from Sears. Oh! I have to hit both the nipples there to make it open? Well, that was an uninteresting garage opener. Also, Sears was never good. Just a heads up. I don't know how many of you remember ever shopping at Sears, but Sears was the most boring store full of, like, the worst quality everything for every field you could imagine. The only good thing about Sears was their catalog, where they had good-looking women wearing minimal clothing. And by minimal, I mean, like, 90s minimal. So it was like a shirt and pants. Is that a fact, Elgato? Modern garage openers have 200 to 300 open limit before they go to shit and can't be repaired, but old openers last forever. I beat my meat to the Sears catalog lingerie. I do believe that second part, but the first part I'd have to call into question. Oh, fuck yeah. That's a great start. Is this the god?
So please go ahead and turn this off if you're not 18 years or older. It was a
Don't worry, I had passed that
necromantic
threshold.
ritual
I'm old enough to ride this
designed
ride,
call
to
the
be a
ninth
living
servant
god.
To place very subtly that will guide any.
There's nothing subtle
practitioner
about
of
necromancy. You bring something back from the
to
dead. If you're doing subtle
understand
necromancy,
how
you
the
suck dick at it.
influence.
Now I've missed the entire beginning of the ritual. Why does she have a bottle of Hennessy? Do I need that for the ritual, or can we substitute with maybe some Crystal Skull vodka? Man, whoever's grave they're on right now must be so fucking embarrassed. Damn, it's like they're dying all over again by having these fucking losers dance around on it. Raveyard. Yeah, this is some cyber goth shit. We just need to see the— Oh! I thought he performed a magic trick. Man, if this is what it takes to become a living god, it's not worth it. You trade your dignity for power. What is that? Is it just dirt? Looked like clay from a baseball field. Perhaps they're bringing back the ghost of Babe Ruth. Did we do it? What does that say? Unk nomi? Unk gluten? What does that say? Oh, I don't want to say the last one. Maybe I'll unleash like some kind of ancient curse if I read all that out loud. Like in the Mummy movie, I'll summon Emotep from the grave. I'm pretty sure it says Unk gluten. Oh, unknown. It says unknown in the background. See, now this is fun. Necromancy is fun. Look at this. He's having an explosive orgasm. His pants are gonna really be filled. You've done it. Good work, gentlemen. Now let's take it from the top and see if we can bring someone else back from the dead. Oh god, it's the Undertaker! Where's Stone Cold? What I learned from a pact with the Prince of Devils in 2015. Did you learn how to just reuse thumbnails? I'm here to learn how to be a living god, not watch a live stream about him reading a book. Learn the secrets of godlike power.
You're about to learn secrets.
Give me a cool ritual again, like the necromancy one. Painful invocation of Asmodeus. This man brought Asmodeus back? You've lost your fucking mind. He was supposed to stay trapped in the tomb under Egypt. He sounds like a pretty powerful guy. Why would he want to come through a small mirror? Roll out the red carpet.
Open your mouth and release the fiery snakes. My will to the world.
This is kind of sad. Does Asmodeus love bondage? Why do you have like a little 50 Shades of Grey whip? I actually have that exact same whip in my closet. It's not demonic. It's a fetish. I'm not kidding, I actually have that same whip. Hold on. I can't bring out fleshlights, but I don't think Twitch is gonna have a problem with a whip. See what I mean? I have the exact same whip. My man's got good taste. He's shopping at Adam and Eve. I don't know why Asmodeus wants Adam and Eve products, but all power to you, man. I have that exact same whip. I feel kind of bonded now. I kind of want to see him actually summoning. The dude owns hell. He's the CEO of hell. He wouldn't just come out of nowhere and nobody knows about it. Yeah, this isn't very impressive. This is real shitty power. This is the worst superpower. I can catch decently. Well, he can catch real fast. Scientifically speaking. What's the point in the skeleton here? We can just watch him do it on video. What's the point in seeing all of his bones doing it? Now this will actually be kind of cool if he can do it. Oh! Executes him. Just goes straight through his chest. You've got it. Come on, baby boy. Make it cool. Catch it between two fingers. What?
You caught it. You caught it.
got it right here.
What do you mean he got it? No, he didn't. What are you talking about? It hit his arm. Well, it doesn't catch it. It literally hits him in the ribs. And it just doesn't break. I can get shot in the ribs with a paintball too and it might not break. No disrespect to you, Stan Lee, if the ghost of Stan Lee is in the chat, but that's not a superhuman.
10 times thicker than Pat's finger bone.
Well, we don't know that yet. We haven't gotten the x-rays of his finger bones.
There's no way you can stick your finger.
Maybe they're deceptively thick.
And you don't feel the pain from this?
I don't acknowledge it. I feel it after.
Oh, okay.
Before I put Pat's claim to the
Yeah, if you just forget about the pain, should go away.
Can...
Oh! Just tell the pain that you're busy. And to come back at different time. Oh wait, I just noticed there's no spikes on it. There's no teeth.
Oh my gosh. Absolutely unbelievable.
What's unbelievable about it? It's the expected result. He put his hand in a bear trap and it snapped on it.
Pat, I am so impressed.
Don't be. I need to go to the hospital ASAP. These fingers are broken. We decided to try and put his fist through a wood chipper. Didn't go over quite as well. Extreme fist, eh?
We'll be able to look at the outside thickness of the bone of the structure.
They lobotomize him. Cut off his fist. Well, it turns out there's no bone in his body. It's just hardened metal. Cast iron. So you're saying he was born to stick his hands into bear traps? Oh, computer explodes. Malfunction. Real superhuman detected.